We are live.
Excellent. Well, welcome to Still Rolling, episode 4 of the podcast. I'm your host, Josh Allen, and this week we've got the delightful Andy Harris joining us. How you been, Andy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
That's all right. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. So,
long time no see.
Oh, mate, it's been too long, hasn't it?
When was the last time we saw each other? I can't even remember.
That's disappointing, isn't it? When was it? World Rallycross?
Probably longer ago than we think.
Mate, that's scary.
We're thinking like 2 years, but we're probably thinking 4-6 years.
Bear in mind, I'd probably phone you on a weekly basis.
It could be.
Can we do this? Yeah. And then don't follow up because you know we couldn't get the permission to do it. That's probably what it was. But to give the guys listening at home and watching and a bit of context about Andy, well, to be fair, we had a few titles going for this podcast that were going, and I had something on the ideas of explosions and all that sort of stuff. And Andy came up with the title himself of, what was it? Making crazy shit safe.
Yeah,
I've already sworn in the first couple of minutes of the podcast, which is great. So I've now added myself to the tally chart, the swear board that we've got going. So thanks for that. But yeah, I mean, making crazy shit safe. What does that mean?
Oh, where do we start? It's all
right, mate. We've got plenty of time to go into it.
We have got time.
We'll absolutely. We'll start. I'll give you a bit more introduction. Yeah. So as the people that are viewing at home can see, there's a few posters knocking around the background there with Andy. That alludes to some of the projects he's been lucky enough to work on. Now, I've known Andy for, best part of 10 years.
Possibly
best
more.
Part of 10 years. And in that time, we've gone from working together on live events, motorsport stuff, and Andy's career has just gone out of the stratosphere in terms of the stuff he's managed to work on. And it's been a pleasure watching you do that. But the official title would be Production Safety Supervisor, or is it different on different films?
Yeah, I kind of split it 2 ways. I think what's my email signature? It says Managing Director / Safety Supervisor / Action Coordinator. So it's kind of three things, I suppose. Yeah.
And typically, what does that involve? I mean, let's pick on one of those behind you. Let's go for Rush. What does that job look like for you on Rush?
So Rush, my role was track safety advisor. So I was running all this safety on the track, all the filming that we're doing on the track. You've obviously got for that we had the stunt coordinator, which from that was Tony Lucken, I think was the stunt coordinator on that. And then we had Nicky Faulkner was the sort of like the driving coordinator on the actual cars moving. And I'm running around behind the scenes, make sure the actual whole track activity is safe. Plus we provided the ambulances and fire rescue and all that sort of stuff as well on Rush. So that was cool. But on Rush as well, there's an interesting one. Yeah, but Rush, there's an interesting one, which was Rush didn't have a massive budget. I think it was only like a 30 million budget or something.
Only a 30 million pound budget, just for those listening at home. Only 30 million.
Yeah. But Rush, there was a twist on Rush, and when we first went for it, the production manager was like, "You're over 6 foot and you've got fair hair." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, I might need to do 2 things. I'm thinking, okay. First day of filming. Turns out that as well as being there, I've also got to be Hemsworth standing. So when they're setting up all these cameras, So when they're setting up all the cameras, and they do some of the same height with the same color hair to just stand there whilst they're
I'm not trying to see the resemblance between you and the guy behind you on the picture.
That's just it. It's Hemsworth, isn't it? So
mate, I mean, if I squint, I can see it. You're there.
just. But and a lot of the dialogue scenes, I had to be Hemsworth standing and just stand there whilst they're kind of setting up cameras and stuff. But
hilarious.
Yeah, and there is a longer story. Which
mate, we're going to get into this. Okay, I wanted to give the audience a bit of context about who you are.
But don't forget the Hemsworth story.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I've got to make a note about it right now to come back to Hemsworth. Yeah. No worries, we'll come back to that. But in more modern times, right now, when you've not been working on movies, obviously things. To be fair. This whole COVID thing, we haven't been talking about in the show, not for any reason other than the fact that we want to keep things light and keep things positive. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, you have been the guy that people have been phoning when we're now looking at a position where we might actually be getting back to work soon from a film industry perspective, of course. And there's always different restrictions that might be coming and that sort of stuff. What kind of phone calls are you taking and how are things shaping out for you?
It's there's a lot of people working massively hard behind the scenes at the moment. There's a lot. It's all at the moment at the guidance documents stage, and you've got British Film Commission, you've got APA for commercials, you've got a television guidance group as well. And there's just a lot of people working to try and put things in place to make it all happen moving forward. But what the difficulty is that this is something which 2 months ago we didn't know about. And the hours that people are putting in behind the scenes to make it happen, it's interesting. And it's not perfect because it can't be, because it's something which is new. But there is lots happening, but it's just unique in every way. And every day we're learning so much different stuff as well. And I said to someone yesterday, at the moment, ignorance is bliss, because if you don't know the information, it's easy. The more information you learn, the more difficult it's getting to work out the solutions.
So what does your job come out in this scenario? What is your job actually? Are you looking to implement guidelines from a safety perspective in terms of, what does your job actually entail? What kind of questions are you fielding, I guess, is the main thing.
Well, at the moment, production safety advisors like myself, we're all just working together in these big working groups, working out how we move forward as an industry. We're not, I've only gone out on 2 location shoots recently, actually advising on location. We're now more trying to work out for the industry as a whole, how we move it forward. And just putting, and learning stuff, and even just think, even people which might not even know about the subject can have an idea, and it's like, yes, that's how we'll do that. So it's huge. It's absolutely huge. But the stuff that's coming in every day, the problem is people wanting solutions. People are coming to us, and like I said to someone the other day, look, I didn't eat the bat. It's not my fault. And if I'm telling you what you don't want to hear, I can't apologize for that, because I can't tell you what you want to hear. But at the moment, the solutions are difficult to find. And there's some people are totally fine about it. Others can be quite cross and quite aggressive about it.
Right.
But it comes down to people are dying, and it is quite, serious stuff going on, and we're all trying, and it is going to be soon. The industry is going to get back very soon. But I think the overall problem is there is no production COVID king, if you know what I mean, that's at the top, that's deciding this is what's to be done.
Right, you can only rationalize it, and you can only do the best with what is available. And obviously you've been in this business a long time, you're very used to looking after people and making sure best practices are followed in all regards. And I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Like, we can only be smart about these things. I don't want to speculate, this is very much your world, but I'm presuming things like crew sizes, those sorts of things. What kind of, have you been talking about restrictions that might be implemented as things roll out? Have you had those kind of conversations yet?
Yeah. It's going to change the industry, I think, as well. It's not.
I mean, it already has, isn't it, man? Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. But it's how we work on set. And someone said to me the other day, "Is this the end of the handshake and the high five?" And it's like, whoa, that's big. That's, is it that groundbreaking? But
bit of a weird one, isn't it, to think about those sorts of things. But I guess we've been getting used to that element of it already with the social distancing, right? So.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got, as a business, 4 ambulances that are normally on film sets and motorsport gigs, and now we've got those ambulances out doing NHS work instead. So we're lucky we've managed to get those trucks out doing stuff. It's not brought in a massive amount of money, but what it has brought in is knowledge and understanding that we can then use proactively on set. Like, I was
you can roll it out.
Discussion. Yeah, we were chatting this morning about isolation. If someone gets unwell on set, what procedures can we do? What is there? I'm thinking we'll just do the same, like decontamination and cleaning. We'll just do the same setups we've done in the ambulances, but we'll do that on set. So we're just sharing information. And normally you'd have all people and companies and different organizations all want to keep information secret, to grow business and stuff, like business confidential. But now it's like everyone's just sharing everything because we all need to work together.
That's good to know. That's good to hear.
Yeah, but there is some people putting in some colossal hours, and it's all unpaid. A lot of the guys that are doing this, they're not being paid. The guys are just getting out there and trying to make things happen. And the industry is going to be back soon, but it's a new risk that isn't planned. So,
well, mate, I'm glad to hear that you're on the front lines with that sort of stuff, and at least we've got someone that's marginally responsible. I mean, we might discover that our opinion changes over the course of this podcast in the next couple of hours. But at least for right now, Andy's very responsible, definitely very safety oriented, and is going to be looking after us and looking after some regulations that will be seeing us into a new working world and environment. I suppose a lot of people sitting back at home like, I don't even know how to use a camera anymore. I'm just like, cool, getting on with things. But I suppose from your perspective, one of the things we touched on when we caught up very briefly ahead of this call was the fact that your whole life has changed. You know, you've been on the road for what, the last 14 years, I believe you said, and you are one of the most hard, if not the most hardest working people I know. You seem to be on the road every day, every hour in a different country every week. It seems pretty mental, the sort of stuff you're putting yourself through. But what's it been like being at, well, not even at home, you're at the office still today, but what's it been like being able to actually adjust your working and life balance?
It's been interesting. I'll tell you one thing, I'm missing America massively. I've got this sort of like feeling of just missing the US, just missing just everything about it, you know. And like being in the UK for this long as well, it's kind of, because you know, with you're saying about me been working overseas all the time, and suddenly I'm kind of in the office. It's but it's been good to kind of take that break and to absorb, to finally have a break after 14 years of just non-stop, to finally have a bit of a break and to kind of reconcile thoughts and have a think.
You find some of those moments that you've enjoyed over the years have perhaps been kind of fleeting moments rather than experiences that you've actually managed to sort of like actually live in for the moment?
Yeah, because you'll finish one job, get on a plane, fly straight to the next one, and you haven't had time to absorb what you've done. You know? I always say to people, I've done 2 jobs in Australia in the same week before. So I actually came home and then had another job came in, back out. And actually I managed to do a job in, managed to do a Speedway Grand Prix in Poland. When the call came in, there's that job you spoke about Australia last week. I was like, it's back on. I was like, I was there day before yesterday.
Mate,
So
I've been lucky enough to go to Australia
again.
Once, but only the once. But even that, I think I flew in. I think I needed 2 days to recover from the jet lag. So I don't know.
But the first job I did there, the director, we all got there. The director was like, "Right, we're going out in the town." And he was like, "No, dude, we're all jet lagged." He's like, "No, we're going out." And that was a night out in I was in Alice Springs, actually, straight out in Alice Springs. Have you ever been to Alice Springs?
No, I flew into Melbourne and then I went up to Brisbane. So I've not been out that way.
Alice
I need to go back, to be honest with you. There's a few friends hopefully tuning into this that understand that I did promise them I was going to go back, and I haven't been yet. In actuality, when I went there, I said I'm going to move here. That's how much I loved it, to be fair. But I unfortunately didn't get around to doing the traveling.
It's a weird one. I kind of like, I did the second time I was there. That was in Melbourne, ironically, and it was like it's a North Face shop. There's a Starbucks, just like being in London. But there's the same amount of Australians in London, you know. It's kind of no real difference. And then Alice Springs was like, wow. And we were right out on the highways, Stuart Highway, which is a north from Alice Springs. It's an unrestricted road, no speed limits.
Unrestricted roads. They get this quiet. I didn't know this.
Yeah, Stuart Highway. Yeah, it's between Alice Springs and it's basically 3 days drive. You just head north.
There's a reason to go back.
You get to the next town, which I think is Darwin. I think it heads up to. But yeah, it's unrestricted, so you can. We were doing a film with Bentley.
Is it really unrestricted, or did you just decide it was unrestricted because there was no police?
No, you don't even need to get road closure notices or anything, and there's no vehicles. But it's the only time where we've had the helicopter overhead. It wasn't for tracking; it was to be on live link to the driver to call in the kangaroos jumping across the road.
Yes.
Pretty cool. And then the Bentley then outruns the helicopter at one stage as well. So we got 206 mile an hour.
206 mile an hour. I think we need to start a new chart here. Bryn was on the other week, and obviously you know him very well. I'm sure
he wins.
Were you involved with the Bugatti project?
Yeah, so I did like the risk assessment for him. We had a few chats and stuff before he went. But that was quite a contained project really, because you're on their test track. And although it's to watch it's phenomenal. It's actually quite a safe thing to do, really, because you're
even Bryn was give some context on that sort of stuff. Bryn was on a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about going 250, 260.
Yeah.
250ish, we'll call it, just to play it down.
But they're not. No one really knows what their top speed is. They just sort of
keeps going, right? But the things they had that obviously make your life a little bit easier is they've got animal detection within the woods and stuff like that to prevent the animals coming out in front of the car. Well, to detect them. It's not to prevent them, it's just to detect them. But again, that's your remit. But that was, so you're contending with the Bryn with the old 206 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a couple of things we wanted to get onto today. There's a couple of things we've got to go into today. I've made some notes. I come prepared this week. That's all right. It's good. Now the audience has managed to get to know you a little bit better anyway. And now just softly introduce yourself, mate. And also just to remind the audience at home, anyone listening, thank you very much for tuning in. we're here for you guys. We're here to keep you company. We're actually live. Can you believe it? Actually, let's be live. So we've got a couple of things to get through. Actually, you know what? I keep forgetting this every week, but I want to shout out the small businesses and the freelancers out there that are just killing it at the moment and just doing what they can to get by. So you guys, all your favorite stuff, which is, I personally miss my local taco place in Bedford Town Centre, little place called El Picante. Best tacos ever. I feel bad that I'm missing them, but I feel bad for those guys more. So shout out to those guys, and also shout out to my barbers as well, Cavalier Club in Bedford. Do you miss anything, Andy? Is there anything you need to shout out at the moment?
I haven't had a chance to think of anything. No, I'm trying to think who's been helping us out recently. I'll tell you who else helps out. 3T Manufacturing, who are a company on the business park where we are, who do what's it called, 3D printing. They made us all the face shields and all that for our ambulance crew. So yeah, thank you to them for that.
Much more important one than I had.
Exchange of Green Business Park.
Oh, mega.
Yeah. Green and Business Park and the Corn Exchange as well, where we're based. They set up 10 porta cabins for our ambulance guys out doing the 999 work. Funded it, set it all up, which has been really great as well. So there you go. Shout out to them.
Very enjoyable. I enjoyed that one for sure, man.
I'm sure there'll be other people I've forgotten as well, but yeah.
It's all right, dude. It's all good. If they come back to you, feel free to shout them out anyways. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about today. Obviously, you do a lot of work with major motion pictures. A lot of that is aligned with the people that are stunt coordinators and stunt performers themselves. To get right into it, how do you actually qualify someone's ability to perform a stunt? Because obviously, from your perspective, from what I understand, you're the person that works with those people, and they say, "I want to do this." So let's look at Assassin's Creed. You worked on Assassin's Creed, right? Yeah, I was waiting for you to confirm it then. There's probably a bit delay. It's fine.
I've got the poster over there.
I love that. It's not in the background, so we have to refer to it.
But we only did the UK stuff on Assassin's Creed, and a lot of the cool stuff was Malta. That was the problem.
Interesting. That's good to know, because this also gives us more scope as well to help people understand just the vast actual landscapes that these films do take place on as well. But I mean, whether you worked on it or not, it is interesting to talk about. In that specific film, they did a free fall, right? 125 feet. Damien Walters went from...
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I mean, you must have worked with him a whole bunch of times, but how do you even start to break that down? Jumping from that height, and it's going, right, cool, this has been assessed by me, and I'm deeming it safe for that guy to do that thing. And obviously it's on you, right? That's where the buck stops, right?
Well, there's something called divulge responsibility. So we will have the overall production risk assessment. And don't forget, on a stunt like that, you've not just got the stunt team, you've also got everything, all the way down to catering. Damien's got to eat, So there's so much more that goes into it. Now, stunt coordinator, and that was, I'm sure it was Ben Cook was a stunt coordinator on that one. I can't remember, but you've got all other stuff going on. We'll have the overall production risk assessment, and then from that, you'll then have different departments responsible for what they do, and you'll get experts involved. I.e., if it's a dangerous stunt, you'll get a stunt coordinator involved. If it's a car stunt, there's stunt coordinators who specialise in car stunts. If there's fight scenes, there's ones that do that. A lot of the guys have fight choreographers as well. Right. So if you're doing like a really big movie, you'll have a fight choreographer, your stunt coordinator, and then we're sort of like the health and safety for it. So we're kind of behind the scenes, looking after the overall project as a whole, as a supervisor for the entire movie. And that could be down to even things like your action vehicles department, supplying the vehicles. What's their risk assessment? What tyres have they got? What, are the vehicles legal in the country that you're in, for example?
Sounds like a horrible job, that part.
Yeah. So you've just got so many different departments, but a lot of it comes down to, there is some, the big movies have got the really big stunt coordinators. A lot of them are stunt coordinators, second unit directors as well. And they've got the reputation, the name. And as the safety advisor, you're kind of working under the producers, but there's this close relationship as well with the producers and the stunt coordinators. And there's that trust that they are the best in what they do, and they have the budgets allocated to them to do things properly as well. And then we'll come in for the behind, so even organising the ambulance cover. If you're in a remote area in the middle of Morocco somewhere, you can have a helicopter involved, medical helicopter, where then from that as well, where you're going to take the helicopter, what hospital is there nearby, what's your repatriation, what's your insurance company.
I'm already getting a headache thinking about all of those different variables. And like,
it's huge.
it becomes fascinating to me how you even begin to start breaking that down, because having looked at a few risk assessments myself and speaking to people like yourself, when they go like, right, cool, here's your risk assessment, here's all the things you've got to think about. What activities are you doing, and how are you going to mitigate whatever it is that puts in the safety measure that goes, okay, this is what you're going to do. Say you're going to do, in that case, you're going to jump off something really high. My mind can't even comprehend where you even begin with those things. Obviously, he was talking about, these different coordinators and different things. We're not talking about people that are just doing this out of no experience. People are doing this for years and years, and that's why they're getting booked on these things. But it just fascinates me how
that experience is part of it. So we do the health and safety training for the British Stunt Register, for the new people entering the Stunt Register and the entry-level stunt performers. We do their health and safety training. It's really great to work with the British Stunt Register on setting up this new health and safety training package. We've got like 300 stunt performers to get through. We've probably done about 60 now. But part of that training was to help people understand risk. And risk is obviously how risk is determined. And one of the things we kind of use as an example of that is if you've got a stunt performer falling down the stairs on a scene. Now, if we got my mum to do that scene where she falls down the stairs, she's probably going to hurt. Well, she is definitely going to hurt herself.
I don't know, man. She might have it in her.
Yeah. Well, she might do, but she ain't going to be too good. Now, if you get, and that's kind of like pretty much definite, she is going to hurt herself or break something. You get a stunt performer or stunt coordinator goes in first requisite, says, okay, we'll wear a back brace and we'll have some padding there, and we'll do all this. And you get that stunt performer to roll down the stairs. And a lot of these stunt guys are doing it all the time, never really getting massively hurt. They're getting bruises and it is going to hurt them, but they're not getting the same injuries that my mum's going to get doing it. So that way you can assimilate the risk differently because of their experience in doing it and their competence, their understanding, add into the fact as well that they understand what looks good on camera. And how to do it. And there's always scenes where I was once told there was a scene on one of the Bond films a few years ago where someone comes off a bike or something, and someone once said to me, the stunt performer that did it, I think is I can't remember his name. He's the coordinator of the latest Bond film. As he rolls over, he kind of puts his arm over his face, and you look at it and you think that's just normal, but he's done that because he knows where the camera is and he doesn't want his face shown on scene, so that he can then do another scene later on because his face hasn't already been seen. So
I got you.
These guys are, they understand camera as well.
It's a different level of professionalism, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that it does go into
part
of the
conversation. I'm seeing massively now and seeing these new stunt performers come through our health and safety courses that we do. So many of them now have got a background of parkour or free running or and with that as well, they're all making their own films. They're editing, they're filming. They've got a massive understanding of production as well as the action that they do. So the people that are coming through now are really switched on to understand it's not just about being punched or something like that. They've actually got an understanding of what looks good on film as well.
Yeah, their body awareness, and they're thinking about what they're doing. I mean, it's such a huge part of this conversation. It's really one I want to get into because, of course, Hollywood becomes more and more aware of the fact that they are definitely the most, well, not the most, I don't want to say that, but they're definitely unsung heroes of the industry. They're not recognized in major award ceremonies, those kind of things. But these stunt performers, not only are they incredibly well trained, full stop, they're incredibly dedicated, those kind of people that go out and put themselves in harm's way. It's a different kind of person. I mean, you're talking about it like they're throwing themselves down the stairs and they're kind of picking up little scrapes and bruises. It leads to the question, like, are they simply made of different stuff? Is the biological body composition made of something else? I don't know. I'm pretty confident there's something else going on upstairs in the old grey matter department. But it does become fascinating to me that there's so much that goes into this. I mean, you must have met loads of different stunt performers. Working with the Stunt Register, obviously, is a major part of that. But what? About these kind of people?
I mean, we did a job recently. We were out in Kazakhstan doing a film, the new Land Rover reveal film, new Defender, and we were on that. We had Jim Dowdle, stunt coordinator, a really good friend of mine who's just helped me massively through the years. Jim's a stormtrooper years ago. That's how cool he is. And we had Gary, one of the stunt guys, on it.
Right.
Worked with Gary quite a lot. Real real tough lad. You know, he's done a lot of motocross stuff. He can take a bang, sort of thing. And we were doing a scene where Gary's in the new Defender coming over a ridge. We've got a winch system set up, and he's hanging almost off of a canyon, driving up and over, sort of thing. And it's, you know, that's risky stuff that he's doing there. You know, and as we're about to film, everyone's all silent. Obviously, you're filming. My Apple Watch goes off, and it says "Great workout, 140 beats per minute." So just watching it, my heart rate's going up. My watch thinks I'm doing some sort of gym session. Great workout, 140 beats per minute, because it's
goes to show you on the sideline. That's going through you. And the other thing as well is, like, the thing that fascinates me in this regard is there's only so much these guys can prepare themselves for, right? Because the reality is, from the creative side, a director, a stunt coordinator, they're trying to come up with things that haven't been done before. They're trying to come up with things that people aren't desensitized to, you know, sequences that, you know, wow audiences and whatnot, just through camera trickery. And there still is such a, well, from my perspective, definitely a huge importance on the practical side of that. You know, the audiences are getting smarter and the technology is getting to a point where CGI is great, but still, the practical effect, to me, cannot be substituted. Yet these guys are going out there and they're, right, I'm going to put you in harm's way and we don't know what's going to happen. Like, how do you even think about that situation when you're in the driver's seat, or you're in a, you know, I say the driver's seat because the fight scenes can be choreographed much more, and they can be rehearsed much more. Obviously, if you're putting vehicles in the way and destruction of buildings and those sorts of things, it costs money, right? You know, there's only so many takes and rehearsals you can do on those types of things. So
you can rehearse to a degree. You can. For some of the films, all the stunt guys will go to race circuits and practice in the cars first of all. And it's like when we did that scene on Fast and Furious 6 in Piccadilly, when the two cars are drifting through Piccadilly. That was, I can't remember who was in the cars. It was Greg Powell was the stunt coordinator. And there was an American coordinator, so I can't remember his name. But that scene was rehearsed at Longcross Studios first, where they actually like coned and chalked out the dimensions on the floor to kind of get what they could do before then taking it to. Then when we did it in Piccadilly, you're trying to shut down Piccadilly on a Saturday night with people, and it's like you've got like 10-minute windows to close.
Yeah, you can do it once or twice. Yeah. But there'll be a lot of rehearsals, and all those stunt teams and the coordinators will push the production as well and say, we need rehearsal time. We need to go to an airfield, shake down all the vehicles, bring special effects teams along, and test everything first to make sure that everything's safe. And there's been times as well where I've kind of fed back to production and said, we've not even got a stunt coordinator on this job. And the production will be like, well, it's not really a stunt. And that comes up a lot. What is a stunt and what isn't? Wow. And so many times I'm like, well, we need. That seems very short-sighted, mate. You know, that seems pretty short-sighted.
I mean, there used to be this. There was this thing. Is it a recreation of a dangerous event? Was one. I'd like to go down the route of, if there's an impact of a fist or a car or someone falling off a horse, then it's a stunt. And then that's when I really pushed the production that we need to think about budgets, and you need to get a stunt coordinator involved. And then we've had other scenes where we've had like Harry Hill wrestling on the floor, having a food fight with someone. Is that a stunt or is that messing around? But then at the same time, someone then falls over, slips over, splits their head open. Then you think, oh, great. So it's kind of, there is that quite a lot going on.
Again, if you're doing that with an actor or talent portion, are they trained anyway? You know, in that regard, and that's the thing. If you're actually working with live talent, I guess in that regard, it's like, well, of course the risk is high. They're much more likely to hurt themselves in those situations. I mean, we don't want to dwell on that too much, but it is an interesting thing from my perspective to hear that, because obviously there's situations where you must get phone calls and someone wants to go like, oh, we've got this great idea, we've pitched it to someone, they've gone great. Then you've gone, right, cool, but have you actually thought about how much that costs to do? Because now you've got to go and get a stunt coordinator, or I'm not signing it up. Have you found yourself in those situations? Do you have to ruin people's day in that regard?
Well, yes and no, because sometimes someone comes to you with this crazy creative idea, and the fact that they don't have any understanding on how dangerous or risky it is to do that is great, because that creativity just go, boom, we're going to do this. And then we can then go, right, okay, let's get a special effects team. Have you spoke to a stunt coordinator? Let's get a roll cage put in that. Let's kind of move on from that. But yeah, I get calls all the time from people, and I've never answered the phone and someone's pitched an idea and I've gone, no, you're joking. because every idea that is crazy that's come to me is doable, but then you've got to...
It's got to find the right people for the right tasks. And I guess that's a lot about finding the individuals and making sure the departments just know what they're doing, right?
Yeah, because someone phoned me up the other day and they're like, we want to do a scene with someone hanging out the window of a car. Is it dangerous? Do we need a stunt coordinator for it? And they pitched the idea, and I was like, well, what is the shot? And the shot was just someone literally out of a window. I said, well, you can't see the background. Why not just shoot it from down low, have a wind machine, they're just putting their head out the window? That's not a stunt. That's someone putting their head out the window. But if you want to do it with someone hanging out, then you've got to think, okay, do we put a wire on it? Do we get a road closure? Do we attach them? Then you've got to go down the route of thinking, what do we do? But it changes, on a feature film, especially when you add talent to it, to your YouTuber doing stuff at home, filming themselves jumping out of their bedroom window. They've both got risks, but they're both going to be dealt with very differently. And I'm often in the middle of it, kind of. Well, yeah.
I guess there is a naivety that comes in with that, isn't there? At the end of the day, I want to say the Jackass generation, the sort of people that started going, oh, cool, I'm just going to go and do that thing. They didn't realize that was a full-scale production at different times, and there's like not only paramedics nearby, but different ways to kind of mitigate those situations. Whereas some of your average, person that goes, I'm going to go and do that crazy thing, are they necessarily thinking? At what point do they phone a health and safety supervisor and go, actually, we probably need to be thinking about this a little bit differently?
Yeah, and that's where if we're involved early on, it works great, because with the director on the director's rec, you go around looking at stuff. If it's just a normal TV show, then we'll just go around with like 6 or 7 of us on the director's recce, just going through the scenes, what we're doing. My role there is more going to be, if we're filming at a railway station, it's more going to be a normal risk assessment for us not putting heli cases in front of members of the public they're going to trip over. Simple as that. But then we can go to a bigger scene. If it's a second unit, for example, if we're filming on a second unit, we're doing a tech recce for a 3-month overseas second unit shoot, then we've got everyone on the tech recce with us to start planning stuff and going through stuff then.
Oh, that's good to know, mate. I'm glad we're getting through some interesting stuff here, though. I'm going to get into some of your anecdotes very shortly as well.
Oh no.
Which
one are we going to start with?
I've got loads of threads to pull on this one, for sure I have.
Okay.
One of the things I want to talk about is your background as well. Like how does someone even get into what you do? Is it something that is like, you just go and I'm going to be that and I'll just apply for a job? Like, to give the audience some context there as well, you've got a background in both the military and the emergency services, right? So tee it up with that. Give us some background.
Yeah, well, I didn't even go to school with me last week. I just kind of opted out. Joined the army, did my stuff in the army where obviously there's big guns and things exploding and all that sort of stuff going around the world doing that. And that's quite interesting because all the decontamination, nuclear, biological, chemical stuff you learn in the forces are now quite useful with what we're dealing with at the moment to have that understanding. And then left that, joined the fire brigade, started off then, joined the Ministry of Defence. It's a military sort of like base, fire service and ambulance service combined. So did that for a couple of years. And the ambulance work was quite good. I actually like doing the ambulance work because you're out, doing stuff. As opposed to fire brigade, a lot of standing by. Ambulance, you're dealing with stuff all the time. And then because I like cars, I kind of went down the RTA route. So I became an RTA rescue instructor. So I used to teach the fire service RTA rescue. And if you've got an operational job come in on that shout, then you're more the guide on how you're going to do this rescue of a car crash. And then left that, did some other stuff for the Ministry of Defence for a couple of years, which was interesting and can't talk about. And then
what do you mean you can't talk about it, Andy?
Oh, it's ended up being. I did this.
I said that I wasn't going to bully you today. I said that I wasn't going to bully you today, but now I feel like doing it. I feel like prodding you. It's all good. We understand there's a few things that are a bit classified. It's all good. It's all good. We'll leave that be. We don't want to implicate anyone in anything.
It sounds like I went to jail for 2 years. And I'm just making up a story, doesn't it? But
I mean, you might have done. I haven't checked in.
Yeah. Did this other project, and then I ended up doing normal fire and rescue service in Hampshire Fire and Rescue for another 6 years after that. And then, but I was doing that at the same time as other stuff. So my background was always safety, fire, medical, and rescue. And then I started from that doing ambulance work, private ambulance work at motorsport events and at the Top Gear track as well. So I started doing that. And then we did a job years ago. and it was a scene. I think it was a record attempt for the biggest amount of donuts or something on a runway at the same time. And there was a safety advisor there, and I thought to myself, it's kind of what I understand already. So I went back to college, which was really tough. Did a year and a half at college, became a health and safety advisor as well.
So there was some formal training involved in this whole procedure, yeah?
Sadly, I had to go and do work and college and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so there was that. And then,
but looking at those posters behind you, I feel like it was probably worth it, no?
Yeah, it's great. And it's done. There's obviously ongoing stuff as a safety advisor, but it's not difficult. It's all I know about. From 15 to now, all I've done is things crashing and exploding and fire and accidents, and I just kind of do what I did then, use that experience, but now with the professional qualification to advise on it. And every now and again I'll go and do a little TV drama. I've done all 5 series of People Just Do Nothing. You ever seen that?
Mate, I'm
BBC3.
Come on, what is it?
It's the greatest television show ever. Once you discover it, you'll love it. It's called People Just Do Nothing, BBC3 drama. It is amazing. It's got you'll recognise some of the characters in it. It's just once you discover it, it's just amazing. It's just
someone that works in this industry. I'm the worst at catching up with things, being aware of things generally. My focus is very much like this. It's like, cool, this is the project I'm working on. This is the next one. And then someone tells me about Breaking Bad, and I'm like, oh, cool, is that new? And that's kind of how it goes. So I will do my best to check it out, but don't feel bad if I completely ignore this.
Yeah. But I'm jealous of people that haven't seen it, because when people discover People Just Do Nothing, they're like, this is amazing. This is the best television show. And it's just like, it's not known about, but it's so good. You've got to watch it. But that's just like a TV show.
For your benefit, I would check out at least one episode. Promise, okay? Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow.
Guarantee it.
Add it to a never-ending to-do list. I promise you, okay?
Sweet. You'll love it.
But from there to now, we've isolated the fact that you've obviously done a crazy amount of diverse things, and that have, like you said, from weapons to all sorts of things, to being on the front line with very real stuff. God knows what you may have witnessed at different points in your life. Some things you can talk about, some things you can't. But now you're in this movie world, and that's where it's gone to. Like, it's just crazy. I feel like one of those highlights for me, and I said I was going to talk about it, okay, but Mission Impossible.
It's surreal for me as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You briefly hinted at this before as well, that there's these kind of surreal moments in your life that you get to kind of absorb, like, retrospectively. Like, at the time, it's just happening. It's just work, I presume anyway, that you're just focused. You're kind of just getting on with things. And then suddenly after the fact, you're like, that just happened, right? I mean, you were telling me a couple of stories about a couple of things. Like, I don't know, you mentioned something about Steve-O from Jackass for one, and mentioned a story about Sebastian Vettel for another. And then I've got all this stuff about Tom Cruise that I want to ask you, because I just, like, I need to know if you were involved with that thing where he was hanging off the plane. I need to know.
Yeah. That was an interesting one. Yeah. Do we start on this one, this anecdote first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
So that one. So I was production safety supervisor on Mission Impossible. Which one was that? 5. And we were in the office at Leavesden, Warner Brothers Studios.
Yeah.
And there'd been this idea about a plane, and suddenly it was like, we're going to do a recce this afternoon. TC wants to go and look at a plane, so went up to this RAF base in Oxford.
Is that what you call him?
And
TC, is that it now?
Yeah.
Not Tom Cruise anymore. TC. It's all right. You're on first name basis. Not even that. TC now. We're just shortening it right out.
Yeah. But I try and kind of, like, he's massively important, so I just kind of speak when spoken to him. But he's a great guy. He's Tom Cruise, isn't he? He's a megastar. But we went and recce the plane, and then we're like, let's go up in the plane and test it. Up we went in an A400.
What do you mean test it? I mean, I feel like I need more context here. I have seen the film and the stunt, but I feel like I need more context. How do you even go about? What do you mean test? What does that mean when you're standing on the ground, a bunch of filmmakers, and they go, let's go test that?
Yeah. So this was literally just take off, put the ramp down. Wade Eastwood is stunt coordinator and technical director of the new one, but Wade does a lot of the stuff. Really great guy. Wade's been very trusting of me over the years, which is awesome to have him trust me to do what we do. So we go up there. Wade's the coordinator, and put the ramp down, and we're just like feeling the airflow with, like, the back of the ramp open of an A400, with TC looking out the back and wondering what we can do. And then
you just strapped in at this point, just standing there.
Yeah. So we're all in seats and stuff. We've obviously got harnesses, and the load master, the RAF guys are coming at the back, and they're putting some of the guys in harnesses so they can look out the back. It's full on back of the ramp, open sort of thing, as you're going on this massive cargo plane. We did that. That's kind of surreal because you're in a plane with Maverick. That's kind of that's right, really cool.
Crying out loud.
Yeah, and like the first time I met TC was when he was on Top Gear, which was probably about 2 years before, and we were driving to the track because Top Gear, they film on a Wednesday, and then it goes out on the Sunday night. And we're driving, I didn't even know who the star was that day. We're driving to the track. I'm in the car driving along, and Chris Evans says on the radio, because this is before Chris Evans did Top Gear, Chris is like, and obviously big scoop today, Top Gear have got Tom Cruise filming at the track today. I'm like, yes, that doesn't count. That doesn't count as a swear, by the way, because I didn't actually say it for your swear. So we're going.
I can't do so
shouting.
far.
Yeah, I've done too. So I'm going, wow, it's Maverick, it's Tom Cruise. And I got to the track, and he's there doing his thing. And then there's one bit where he comes through this gate. There's a gate coming out the track, and I was there, sort of like just wanted to see him up close, sort of thing. And I somehow end up chatting, just me and him together, just the two of us chatting. And you're looking at him, and in your mind, you're thinking, I'm chatting to Tom Cruise, and you're also thinking, this is Pete Mitchell, this is David Ames, this is Which Was Thin of the Sky, this is Cocktail, all the characters he's played and stuff. And it's epic. He's just loving the moment. He really looks at you in the eye when he's chatting. And then there was someone with him. They told Tom when he's going to the studio. And he goes, oh, hold on, just chatting to Andy. And like, he knows my name, and he does.
I love that we're seeing this enthusiasm come out from you right here. Because it's you reeling off the character names, I'm like, we've got a super fan in our midst. That's what we've got right here.
I think he makes his own genre of film almost, a Tom Cruise movie. It's his own thing, And but yeah, that was a Top.
He pretty much literally writes them these days, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure he just pitches the ideas, right?
He's, that's what he does, isn't it? That's what he does. But he, yeah. And then obviously back to the Mission Impossible one, we did the stunt, and then when we actually did the plane stunt itself, that was at an RAF base in the Midlands somewhere. And the stunt team had worked for ages, and special effects had worked on a system which they could attach them to the plane. And there's some great YouTube behind the scenes on how it was all done. Really, really good. And my role on that was more, that plane was a civilian plane, a military plane, but owned by civilians at an MOD army base that no longer had, it had a runway, but wasn't an operational runway anymore. So for it to land officially, it came under military and CAA rules. So I had to set up a full, same sort of levels of emergency services cover you'd get at Heathrow Airport. I had to set up within 8 days at an airfield for Tom Cruise hanging off the side of a plane, which was really, really cool. And what was great was we had to have a certain qualification of firefighters to do it. You had to have CAA level 8, I think, category 8 firefighters or something. I don't know what the exact category we needed.
This is due to the fact that it was MOD and CAA, yeah.
Yeah, because of the size of the plane, the wingspan, the fuselage, and there's always calculations which you work on doing it. You need so many vehicles, and then you have to have a spare resilience vehicle and all this sort of stuff. It's a lot of money to set.
Surely someone asked the question, though, or at least the question must have been posed somewhere, like, what happens if he falls?
Yeah, but then that's where the stunt team that work with Wade, he's got a team that work with him all the time, and they're really into wires and winches and working at height safety. It's what they understand, but also they've got to bear in mind that you don't want to see the cables on the show.
Of course.
So they worked out a really good system of the wires behind it, or how to attach him on there. But it's it's a huge thing to set up. But this moment just happened where I'm thinking, where do I get 10 category 8 CAA qualified firefighters from? I'm chucking out a few messages to people. I'm going, what do I do here?
And that's a hard task for you, and I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, that's a tricky task for Andy. That means this is a seriously hard task for your average human being.
Well, you imagine you've got to set up the same levels of emergency services covers Heathrow Airport in 10 days. Well, the vehicles, the ambulances, the people, the foam stock, everything. And put some feelers out. I get a phone call from a bloke called Al. Al still does stuff for us now. And Al's like, my name's Al. I understand you're looking for some firefighters. He goes, I used to work at Blackpool Airport. I've got 10 CAA Category 8 firefighters. The airport went bust yesterday. We've all been made redundant. I understand you're after some people. I'm like, wow. And I said to him, I said, right, I can't tell you what the project is until you sign NDAs, but if you can meet me at this military base in 3 days' time, I've got some work for you, and you'll absolutely love it. And these guys have just lost their jobs, you know.
I can't imagine what it'd be like to be those people and be like, you saying that back to them. They probably don't even know what an NDA is at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just
be at this airport in this amount of time. See you there.
And the fact is, they don't know who I am. They don't know if I'm going to rip them off. I'm never going to pay them. They don't even know what the project is. And then they get in on it, right? So the project is, and obviously they see it, and it's like, wow, and they've got 10 days work. They're being paid for it, really good money. They helped me out. I had them production manager, and we managed to get the RAF on board for the airfield. There's obviously loads of other stuff going on behind the scenes as well, but the small element that we did on it just kind of happens. You know, it's great, and it's putting off little projects like that give me a little buzz and a little kick to do something that's that cool. But that was huge. And when all the papers found out about it as well, seeing it in the press, it's like, yeah, we were involved on that. It's cool.
I bet that's a big moment for you, and it leads me nicely onto the fact that, were you involved with the one where he broke his foot or his ankle, or what did he break? He did a jump over a building and it basically hit a wall or something. Were you involved with it? Got to ask that first.
No.
Follow up. So on that, would it have happened if you were involved? There you go. I'll leave that out there.
No, it's that sort of stuff is outside of my remit. That's down to, you know, all the experts that are doing stuff, and they're doing that. On that one, on that day, ironically, we were strangely enough at another airfield in Oxfordshire. So we were doing the rehearsals for the parachute scene on the film. So we were sorting out all the stuff for the parachute. I think they had like a stunt coordinator that specialised in aerial stuff. I think we were overdoing that on that day, and obviously that then came through. Started in the press, you know, Cruiser's was it broken his ankle, whatever he did, and it's oh no. But,
I think he mashed it to pieces. I think it was a bad one. I don't know how long they were out for, but I remember seeing an interview. I think they were out for a paused production for a few months, didn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check that. I mean, I fact checked it.
4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago now. That was
That's terrifying. Is it really that long ago? I feel bad.
It's at least two or 3 years. But yeah, that last one I did. So I did that, and I did the Paris motorbike chase as well in Paris. It was quite cool. 6 weeks. I think about 6 weeks out there. But yeah, I wasn't on the unit that were doing the that side of stuff, the rope stuff.
So good. All I'm understanding, Andy, is that if you were there, it wouldn't have happened, right?
I should have that on like a CV or something, shouldn't I? No, things will always happen.
I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just saying it, okay? I'm just saying, if you were there, things would be different.
I appreciate it. Your estimation of me is maybe a little bit higher, but
I see how things I want to see, okay? And I see you in the light that I see you in. So don't play it down. It's all good. Does he really do his own stunts? Like, I've had this conversation with a few people, but from the horse's mouth, someone actually worked directly with him. He's doing everything.
Yeah, he wants to be involved, and I think it adds another level of when they release the behind the scenes sort of like featurettes on YouTube now. People want to see that, that he's doing it all. That's what he's famous for, isn't he? He wants to, and a lot of talent won't do that. A lot of cast on the second unit, you won't even see any of the cast on it. It's all the stunt guys doing everything. But with Tom, it's different. But he's, as I say, the stunt team that he work with him a lot, all the time. There's a lot of trust between them. They are the best in the world at what they do. There's, amongst the best in the world. And they just understand each other and do things properly. And he will rehearse, and it's weird because the second unit because I've done, I think we were on our third Mission Impossible. Obviously lockdown has happened, but a second unit is different on a Mission Impossible because it's him, and he brings energy to the set. Massive. When we were in Paris filming, it's like when he's finished his scenes and he goes, you're like, oh wow, because he's who he is. He's got this energy, and he's on the radio, he's communicating, he's talking to people, he is exactly as you expect to be.
That's got to make a lot of difference. I mean, one of the questions I was going to follow up with is, like, in any other situation or circumstance on any other movie set, an actor wanting to do their own stunts surely becomes a huge pain in the ass. I mean, I'm only speculating, but surely the idea of someone wanting to, you kind of have that cliche movie scene in your head where it's like, oh, cool, someone just wants to crack on and do the jump or do the, the driving sequence themselves, it's not even about one-upmanship. They just want to be doing it, I guess. Have you ever had to ruin anyone's day in that regard and tell them they can't do something?
I've been on shoots before where cast, not on big movies, but smaller ones, where your cast go, I'm a stunt driver, I've done fast stuff. And you're like, okay. And then like the director and the stunt coordinator will be there and they'll let them do a little donut or something. Oh yeah, that's great. We'll use that in the film. They disappear and then stunt driver comes out and does it perfect. And that's the one. That's the one that you use. And it's just like, yeah. But,
that is brilliant.
But it's different with him. Yeah. But obviously, and that's quite, and there's been so many jobs we've had as well where people have said that they can do this and do that. So I can drive cars fast. But if I've got to answer to the producer, say, well, this guy is a mate of so-and-so and he reckons he can do this, but it's not really right. We should really get someone proper in to do it. But then the thing with him, and there's another guy, there's another actor I've worked with as well. Who's the guy? He used to be a werewolf in all those girl werewolf movies. He's got dark hair. He was in Cuckoo. Did you ever see Cuckoo?
Mate.
Taylor Lautner. Taylor Lautner. That's his name.
There you go. That guy.
Yeah.
I actually know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. We've had him on set before, and it's like, oh, he does martial arts. And we're like, oh, okay. And it was seeing some nunchucks. And we're like, there we go. He's like, and some people are great at everything, and he's one of these people that is really good at many things. And he kind of does a lot of the stuff himself. And we did a couple of series of that show, Cuckoo, with him. And it was like, he's kind of great. A lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, he's actually going to do it and pull it off. I mean,
it
begs the question about these sorts of things. I mean, of course, one of my questions about this situation is that in terms of that qualification, open done it, what qualifies that person to do those different things? But like in that situation, you're talking about a driver, for example, and then someone's like, oh, I can do a donut or whatever. What kind of CV does someone have to have for you to give them a shot at it? Yeah,
well, this is where it's interesting. So to get on the British Stunt Register, it's not easy. There is a lot of stuff you've got to be good at.
I'm aware. What is it? 5 or 6 disciplines, is it?
I think it's 5 disciplines now, and you've got to be like an expert in all of them. And things like
to pick, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, but you've got to have a striking martial art. You've got to have a motorsport. You've got to have there's all different things like, and the motorsport side of it, what they have to do, the training they have to do.
And you've got to be an expert in all of them, right? It's not like they're not messing around.
But the new course they've done to get the car category stuff isn't just driving. I think that what they devise now is like, can you reverse to this, but we're going to put a cover over your wing mirror because you could be doing it on set and you're going to have a massive camera there.
There might be a camera there, yeah. You can't see that.
Yeah. Can you go through this gap at night? And I think Silverstone were doing some sort of training setup as well, where they could do the training for the stunt register on that sort of stuff. But then over the years, the whole pro driver thing has come in, the precision driver. So on a lot of
I've seen this change over in America more than here, but yeah, for sure. Talk us through that.
Yeah. So it's different productions have different ways of doing it, but they can have the precision driver, and it's where if you're doing a scene in a lots of cars in the background, there might not be enough stunt registered people there, so you can use racing drivers and things like that to drive. It's only like driving background stuff. But then you've also got guys who aren't on the stunt register. You don't have to be on the stunt register. There's people that aren't necessarily on it, but it's kind of in the UK, it's the recognised thing. Then you've got guys that just do your driving scenes. They just like Ben Collins, Mark Higgins. Ben, obviously, everyone knows what Ben Collins used to do. Mark Higgins is something like 4 times British Rally champion, and they've got that driving experience. So they'll obviously do a lot of the pro driving scenes as well. So it's kind of there's different ways of doing it, and with the martial arts as well. You're Damien Walters. So Damien is
who's
like
a tumbler and a free runner, right?
Yeah, and he's amazing at it. He's absolutely amazing at it. He's actually also quite good in the car, ironically. But they kind of specialise in that sort of thing. So you will have people specialise. And there's a guy called Dave Emerson I work with quite a lot. Dave used to test parachutes for the RAF, and he tested ejector seats.
What? That sounds like a made-up job.
Yeah. He tested ejector seats and he tested parachutes.
He's still with us?
Yeah. He is an absolute great guy. But Dave just choreographs aerial stunts. So if we did that thing for Corvette out in Switzerland with the Corvette and the wingsuit. Dave would just choreograph and coordinate wingsuit and parachute related stunts because it's what his background is, and he understands it. And I think might be wrong, but I think Dave Emerson is, Dark Knight Rises opening scene, plane heist. What would you sort
down the road from me at Carlington, was it?
Some of it was, yeah, but I think the actual plane scene was over the Cairngorms or something like that.
Gotcha.
I think Dave Emerson, from what I remember, I might be wrong, but I think the first person that gets pulled to the door with a thing at the sack over the head, I think that is Dave that's got the sack over his head. Yeah, but he just does aerial stuff.
Did he just tell you that? Were you watching the movie together and he was like, that one's me, that one's me?
He did just tell me, actually, yeah. Yeah. But
we're exposing people here.
Yeah, but you get experts in their field, and that comes back to what we were saying at the start about you divulge that responsibility down. So your overall production risk assessment will have at the top that you're doing all these activities, and you're then going to get experts in to be. And
you've mitigated it fields by having the expert who you were trusting to
exactly
that responsibility. Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. You're passing that responsibility on because the producer isn't an expert in crashing a car, so they get an expert is. But then at the same time, the producer isn't an expert in food hygiene, so they get a catering company in. So it's all about risk is passed down to people that are experts in their field.
Again,
my job is
home perspective. That's the thing as well. It's like the earlier we get those kind of people involved, the better the outcome. That person's involved slightly earlier in the production process, and suddenly you can create a better result because you're not having to, you've not come up with an idea that's beyond the realms of possibility. And then it's like, all right, cool, we've actually developed that idea with the stunt coordinators, with choreography in mind, all those types of things. I think that's something that's perhaps overlooked slightly when people don't necessarily are making this jump between a different kind of budgets and different kind of features. I guess is like, at what point in time, it's kind of why I mentioned talking to you about what point someone phones you. It's like, what point is someone actually going, oh, actually we'll be a bit smarter this time, and kind of factor that in a bit earlier in the production process, so we can perhaps think about things and maybe get a better result in any shape or form. Anyway, I look at my little toy cars on my desk here, and like, this is kind of how we've been doing it. This is how we started doing it. We used to just get these little toy cars and be like, cool, we're going to like drift these round. I wanted this one to drive over here, this one to drive over here. Not exactly Hollywood productions where you're like, oh, actually we're just going to rehearse with those cars and the lead.
Well, when we did F1 Live, I literally had all the F1 drivers around me in London, and we literally, I just got a piece of chalk and I drew the chalk track layout on a piece of tarmac in Whitehall, little toy cars. And I was like, okay, Sebastian, you're going to be this car, and Daniel, you're going to be this. And they're arguing over, these are like cars I've nicked off my kids and brought with me. And I want to be that car. I don't want to be the Mystery Machine. And I'm like, well, I'm okay, just pretend it's that. And it's like this hierarchy of F1 drivers then determining who gets to call this toy car, just to explain who's going to pull out first. Yeah.
They're still big kids at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I wanted to talk about as well is like, going back to the stunt performers, do you feel that the stunt register, like, of course there's multi-disciplines in those, is it better from your perspective to see someone who is multi-talented, and ultimately in those multi-talented people, do you find, it's a bit of a double-ended question really, it's like that, do you find there's people with multiple skill sets, are they proficient in each of those skill sets in your experience, or is it, do you find they do have one that they're more proficient in than others? Just as a kind of question, is that versus the other guys who are like the individuals, like you said, precision drivers, for example,
Yeah, well, your fight choreographer might just do fights, and that's it. You might have guys that just do fight stuff. I mean, it's different. Obviously, to get on the stunt register now, if you're going down that route, you've got to have your variety of subjects, and they're quite particular about the fact that everyone has various different skills that they can bring to the table. And then for me, it's when there's people on set, and we've had shoots before where the production has supplied people that aren't from the stunt register, but they might specialize in something else. And it's like, are they competent to do their activity? So competence, training, knowledge, understanding, and experience. If we can say that they've got training, knowledge, understanding, and experience in that subject, and they're competent to do it. So it's kind of, that's what ticks the box for me. But then the stunt team that might be there might want someone, in one day they're doing some wire rigging, and then the next day they're doing this, and the next day they're doing that. So having that variety of skills is useful to a producer, definitely, because they've got a stunt coordinator and a stunt team that specialise in lots of different subjects. Whereas if they just book someone that's done some rally driving for a rally car going past you, that's great for that shot, but then it's not great for that shot. But if you're just doing a commercial for a car commercial, and the car comes with like the job with that wingsuit job I was saying about, actually, it was a full-on like Le Mans style Corvette race car, and the driver driving it is the driver that's just won the event, sort of thing, or like the job we did out with Jay Leno in Nevada. Is the Dakar winning car, and driving it is Nanny Roma, who's just won the Dakar Rally in that car. So he's going to be competent to drive that car.
I would say so, yeah. He's probably qualified.
Yeah. And the weird thing with Nanny Roma is he's the only man, I think, that's won the Dakar on a bike and a car. And he's quite, well known to these people. And you'll be out in Nevada where this, people love going up in the dunes, their cars. No, that's Nanny Roma over there. Nanny does not know he's famous. And people will say, hey, can I get an autograph? And he will look over his shoulder as though they're talking to someone else. He doesn't know he's famous. And he's like this Dakar
that is no bad way
rally
to be.
legend. Yeah,
that is no bad way to be. Some of the best people I've ever met are like that, though. They're just like completely oblivious to the outside world. But there's a perspective out there that sort of like sees them with adulation. Like, what?
Yeah. He told me a story once. It's like, he goes, I was back at, I think he's Spanish or Portuguese. I won't do the accent, I rubbish at accents, but he's like,
yeah, please don't spare the audience.
Like, I was in the village where I'm from, and someone came up to me and said, Nanny, do you remember me? I used to go to school with you.
Yeah.
And he's like, of course I remember you. We used to go to school together. He's like, yeah, but you're famous. And Nanny said, I don't know why he thought that because I was famous, I'd forgotten who I went to school with. Why would I not remember school, sort of thing? And Nanny, lovely guy, that just has no understanding of how famous he is and what a cool dude he is.
It's good to hear. I like hearing those little stories. I've just done the obligatory check the questions, because we've got this wonderful setup, which is actually sending the questions through to my phone. Thank you, Jake, the tech guy behind the scenes that is making all of this run smoothly. Quick question from Max Patterson. Andy, what's your advice for the low budget filmmakers looking to incorporate stunts or effects?
Oh, so
I know. Have a think about it. You don't have to spitball straight away. We can have a conversation about it,
Yeah, I think if we want a tech recce and that sort of thing is there, you could say it's getting your SFX coordinator or your stunt coordinator on early to kind of understand what you want to do and to pre-plan it all. But then there are people that want to do that themselves, and there are ways of doing things, not necessarily, VFX, for example, is so amazing now. We did a TV show years ago called Top Coppers. It's pretty funny, I think it was. But there was a scene in that, and I remember watching one episode. I saw the line producer a few months later, and I was like, when did you do that big fire scene? Because there was nothing on the risk assessment about that fire scene, and we didn't do any cover for it. And he went, it's not real. Because we bought the fire from a VFX company. So what do you mean? He goes, you buy the file. Because we just filmed a car and we bought a fire.
How much is a fire then? How much is a fake fire?
Well, apparently it was only about like $2 or $3 grand or something. Whereas
we're talking about the low budget filmmakers here, man. Like $2 or $3 grand for buying a fake fire. Let's go even lower budget than that. So say you've got a situation where someone, I don't know, I'm talking, let's say I want to throw someone through a glass window. Are you just going to say no? Or
if I'm the production safety advisor on a job and someone throws someone through a window and there's no stunt coordinator there to oversee it, and they say to me, are you happy with this? I'm going to make sure there's someone listening as a witness. I'm going to say, no, because that is a stunt. You're throwing someone through a window.
Sorry, Max Patterson. It's not looking well for us right now. We might want a bit more context. Max, follow up on what kind of stunts you want to be doing, and we'll try and help you out with this one.
So if it's a scene going through a window and he's a filmmaker wants to do it, is there ways he can get that effect? Is there a way that he can, film that close up with some glass flying through the air to look like that? Is there a scene where someone literally just holds himself above, about this high above the floor and drops? You film that last scene. Is there a way that they can do it without doing the dangerous stuff and to fool people's eyes? Yeah,
that is some solid advice. Practice your filmmaking skill set. Think about the shots order. Think about what your storyboard looks like. Think about the sequence. Think about how you can trick the audience into deceiving them into those sorts of things. I mean,
but it comes back to that thing I was saying about the person hanging out the window, that phone call I got. And it was like, well, if the shot's from down low and there's nothing in the back of shot and it's just someone looking like they're hanging out of a window, just look at what's on your edge of frame. Maybe get a wind machine hire a wind machine from somewhere, or a big industrial blower from an industrial company for 30 quid. Blow that in someone's hair, move the camera around. It looks like someone's hanging out of a window. Instead, the car's not even moving. You've got no point of reference behind. So it's that fooling the public and what they see to lead them to make a story that they're going to believe.
I mean, without putting too many scenarios in your head, what about a situation like, obviously we talked earlier about the fact that a lot of the stunt register people are coming through from the likes of parkour, free running, it might be other action sports, extreme sports into the situation. And they're looking to scale up. We were talking about those things you mentioned earlier. What were they? Experience, knowledge, training.
Yeah. So competence is training, knowledge, understanding, experience. That's
there you go. You summed up much better than me. How do people go about actually developing that skill set? Say, not just a low budget filmmaker person, but perhaps that person is looking for someone they can work with that they can afford, or whatever it might be in that situation where they're looking to up the stakes a little bit. Perhaps someone wants to do something basic, but they want to see it. They want to see the wide shot, to see someone pulling it off. In that situation, I mean, you mentioned you've worked with some people that have sort of gone through those ranks in different levels of filmmaking. Some YouTubers, I believe we had. You're working with. I made a note of it somewhere. I'm looking. Colin Furze. There you go. Colin Furze. This guy.
Yeah.
You go on, talk us through it. You explain better than I did. What did he start doing?
He's so unique in what he does. He's just hit 10 million subscribers. I think it's 10 million subscribers he's just got.
That's a serious number.
Colin's this normal guy that he was a plumber, I think, and he started making videos. He became obsessed with these things called pulse jets, which is where it's like a load of pipes and welding, and you put butane, and it basically makes a jet engine. And then Colin started working out that he could use his plumbing skills and put this jet on his mum's bike and went down a runway at like 80 miles an hour on his mum's bike with no safety equipment on, sticks on YouTube. Everyone loves it. And then Colin just kind of grew on that. And he's now got this he's so unique in what he does. And his character isn't put on. He is this fun, loves doing what he does. And people say, is it dangerous? Well, it's like, well, he's not. He has hurt himself a few times, actually. There's a few videos on YouTube of him in hospitals where he's had massive burns up his arms and stuff like that. But he does calculate risk quite well to a degree.
Quite well, but still gets burnt.
Yeah. I think that was in his garage or something. His videos are phenomenal to watch. I can understand why people love watching these sort of videos. But then, and that's fine if you're doing it yourself and you're not going to hurt anyone else. If you can hurt other people, or if you've got a brand that wants you to advertise a product or something, you've got that brand, the protection of the brand as well.
And you've got to insure stuff, right? If someone's paying you to do something, you've got to insure it, right?
Yeah, well, that's the other tricky one. And this is where we've had more and more over the years. You get a phone call at the last minute and it will be these will be big brands, big global companies that will, the biggest name brands in the world. I've got some marketing budget and they've chucked a load of money at this YouTube and they're going to go and hang off this building tonight without any safety harnesses or anything, because apparently they do it all the time. And then I'll get a phone call from the insurance company, from the health and safety of the brand, or from the production company, someone saying, well, the brand have said, no, we can't do this. What do we do? So I've kind of got to be this person in the middle. And it's difficult filming a lot of this dangerous YouTube stuff because they don't understand production. There is no first AD calling action. They do their own thing. And suddenly they've gone from a world of filming themselves with an iPhone, put it on YouTube, to now you've got a production company telling them what to do. And with that comes health and safety and understanding of risk and risk management. And if they want to do something really dangerous, like we did a job with Steve-O years ago, Steve-O, and I was saying about that.
Steve-O jackass name,
yeah. So I get a phone call, like, Steve-O's got this record he wants to break. He wants to break the record for the biggest amount of light bulbs broken with a man's testicles. And I'm like, okay.
Sorry, audience, we've got a bit lowbrow.
Yeah. It's like, it's on YouTube, actually. You can watch it on YouTube.
I'll spare myself that one, but the audience can check it out if they like. I'm good.
He wears clothes doing it, but it's and it's like, God, how do we do this? Then I've got to speak to the insurance company. The insurance company saying, this ain't going to happen. Right. The Steve-O still wants to do it. We've got a production to make. So how do you get around that? And this is where there is no way to get around it.
And he's going to do it anyway, I presume, right?
So here's the thing: he's going to do it anyway. So if we're filming circumstantially what he was going to do anyway, and we don't call action, and he was going to do it anyway. And he looks at camera before he does it and says, "What I'm about to do, I was going to do anyway. The production are in no way involved. I've designed this idea.
No one's liable.
All mine." Well, this is just it. We don't know. So we've gone to lawyers about stuff like this before, and lawyers aren't even sure where it stands because the production is still filming it. But are the production responsible for it, even if Steve-O says he's not? And there's this phrase in common law, which I use a massive amount, and it's volenti non fit injuria. And it's a common law tort in the UK. It's Latin, and it means harm cannot be done to the willing man. Now, that kind of comes into it. And I'm not a lawyer, I'm a health and safety advisor. But it kind of, that piece of law comes into it as well. So it's kind of, it's not proven. And the production will be like, we want to film it anyway. And it's like, okay. So I'm in the middle of it in this debate where I've got, and then if it's for a big brand, I've got the brand's health and safety people, which are nothing to do with TV production. Therefore, I don't know, for a computer company or a office furniture.
Or anyone. Yeah, just any company.
Yeah. And they're going, is he going to do it or not? And I'm like, well, yes. So I'm in a really difficult position then when you've got someone like Steve-O going to do something really
suddenly
silly.
Your words become very, very important. Yeah. The language you pick becomes pretty important.
Yeah. And all I can do is advise the producer on the risks, speak to Steve-O about the risks, and be this middle person, makes everyone aware. I'm not responsible for what happens. I'm an advisor in that situation. So I'm just I'm advising.
Just hands off. Steve-O. This has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. So Steve-O, I advise you don't do this, but you're going to do it anyway. So
I feel like I've had this conversation a lot with people, and I realise what's been happening. They've just been putting the responsibility back on me, haven't they?
Well, but then the other thing I think is if you've got a first and the first calls action, does that mean that the first is happy, that everything's in place for it to happen?
Gotcha.
There's so many things to consider. And then you think, well, what if you supplied an ambulance for it? So if you've supplied an ambulance for it, are you taking on board the fact something can go wrong? There's so many things to consider with what is a new way. And it's YouTubers. You're bringing you, and YouTubers are great. Love working with them. They're young and they've worked out this new job, this new role.
And it's really provoked creativity in a kind of different way in different regards. I mean, I've got my own opinion on it, to be fair, but all power to those people that want to get behind a camera and get out there and do some stuff, to be fair. As long as they look after themselves and don't do anything too disgusting, I'm all good with it.
Yeah, but as long as it doesn't hurt other people, that's the thing.
Of course, yeah.
But what I don't like and what I wouldn't work on would be the ones when they're hanging off the buildings and walking off the edges of skyscrapers. That I've had a couple of jobs come in for that over the years, and I've gone, are you going to get a wire supervisor in? So where you get your wiremen to put them on hidden wires and stuff. No, they want to do it for real. I'm like, right, then if there's no, then it's probably not going to be the one for me, because you just know that and it's
that crosses a different line, right? That's not I'm going to go and make a film. That's I'm doing a stunt, but not like in the conventional sense. That's just I'm doing something stupid, right? Does that cross that line?
But they're making other people want to do that thing as well, and it's like you're kind of promoting something which isn't a pre-planned dangerous activity that's now made safe. You're doing something which is very dangerous, and it is the next level of it's daredevil stuff. We did I've done a job with, it was a feature film called Base a few years ago about base jumping, and the guy in it, lovely guy, we finished filming, and then a year later he died on a wingsuit stunt. Lovely guy, and he spoke to him a lot about stuff when we were filming, about risk and analysing risk, and he understood my position. It's a film about base jumping, but he Alexander Polly, his name is. We had a real good relationship on the film, got on really well, and there was times we were doing the scenes and I was like, dude, this scene we're filming now, you can't just jump. If you're going to do something silly, you need to tell me in advance confidentially. I won't let people know, but I'll make sure there's stuff in place, because we can hurt members of the public now. And every time we was by the book, he's like, no, Andy, I'll be honest with you, if I'm going to do something silly, I will give you a wink before.
Yeah, I was going to ask about those kind of folks. Do you find there's a different kind of different thing going on upstairs in that regard? Some of those people that are borderline reckless in that regard, or do you find that they're still the consummate professional, even though they are like a slightly different inclination?
But they're your daredevils, which are normally on their own doing dangerous activities for hits on YouTube and for Instagram and all that. Your stunt performers are intelligent, calculated, and they know if they do reckless things and they get a reputation, then the coordinators that they're working under everyone talks, and they're not going to do that. But there are the
It's
stunt
good to know that there is
performers.
that responsibility and there is that accountability in the industry, and that they all are looking after each other. Because, like, I don't have to tell you, the stats of like major injuries and major things within film is so small compared to how many things are really put on the line, which is just, again, a testament to the stuff that you guys are doing behind the scenes to look after people. Obviously, bad things can happen, but
you'll get the guys that will do the big hits. You'll get the guys that will do the big car stunts and stuff. And it is, there's one guy I work a lot, Dale. Dale's great. I've worked with him all over the world doing stuff. Dale does big impact car stunts all the time, big rollovers, big jumps. He was 20 years ago.
How do you keep him safe?
Well, Dale's a full coordinator. Years ago he was Top Gear Stuntman. Do you remember Top Gear Stuntman years ago?
Vaguely. I'll
tell you where you will have seen
memory,
him.
yeah.
So he Saving Private Ryan, Beach Assault, yeah. Guy next to Tom Hanks in the sand gets shot in his helmet, takes his helmet off and looks at Tom Hanks, then gets shot in the head. That's Dale.
So go and check it out. You can go and see the jump in question.
Yeah, but he does big crashes, big rollovers, big jumps and stuff. But he's been doing it a long time. He knows what he's doing. He understands risk, but he's not reckless. He understands car stuff. It's what he does, and he will take the big impact landings and rolls. And there's quite a few of the stunt guys that will do the big rolls. There's some of them will do, couple of rollovers each day.
Surely there's a limit to that stuff though, before the body just goes like, I'm quitting now.
Yeah. I mean, when we worked with the American guys on Fast 6, it was quite interesting because a lot of the American guys would have like the sort of vest that they have for doing fight scenes on wires and stuff. And they were even like suspending them on bits of rope to the cage above them. So when they're in the seat, they're actually suspended in a jerk vest just above the seat. So when they land, it's not just their bum in the seat. Yeah. So they're spreading the weight of them out. So there's a lot of technical understanding of these guys and how they can spread their body weight out differently, how they can absorb impacts, how they can do stuff, how they can design the car.
It's absolutely fascinating to me. All these things. I watched the James Bond movies as a kid, and I was just like, I want to do that. Even the one where he drove in the water, and I was like, you get cars that could drive underwater, right? Yeah.
Well, that underwater car, a friend of mine was the producer for the Top Gear. Tried to make it, didn't they? The underwater Lotus. And I tell you what, it is not easy. It is difficult because the real James Bond one was a model, wasn't it? They never actually did it for real on Bond.
Is it like a white? Is that my imagination?
Yeah, and I'm sure it was all a model that did it at Elstree Studios in a water tank or something. But Top Gear tried to replicate it, and it's very difficult. It's all about science and about pumping air pressures out and all that sort of stuff. It's not easy to do.
Are you telling me that it's possible though? They can make
Top Gear did it.
Reality.
Yeah, they accomplished it. They managed to do it. But it isn't easy working out air pressure, how to sink something that's full of air underwater and stuff. There's a lot of, and that's what's been quite cool with Top Gear over the years, because they'll get scientists involved.
How many episodes have you done of Top Gear?
I have been involved in, I think it's 100, last check, it was over 130 that I've been involved in over the years. It's wonderful. I love it. They're my friends. The crew is a small crew. It's the same camera team, the same sound, the same drivers, the same. It's been the same guys for a long time.
Might have gone somewhere else.
Yeah, obviously, the presenter.
The lineup changed. The minor lineup changed. But
yeah, but it's that's great and unique, and I love Top Gear stuff because it's so unique in the ideas and things they want to do, and they'll get a scientist involved to work out how do you do this or how do you do that, or in fact, do you remember Top Gear did the I think it was a Twingo in that tunnel in Belfast,
and they did the rollover, they did it all the way over.
Yeah, that's it. So even things like that, just so unique, so little one-off, weird, wonderful projects. And Top Gear is unique in the fact that it's not like a feature film with 200 people. It's so small, and the budget is nowhere near what these big feature films do. But they've just got this team that have done it together for so long. Things are just so short and sharp and just happen. And it's just great to be part of. The Top Gear stuff is what I love and what I look forward to doing all the time, because it's just this family of people which have known each other for many, many years now.
Ah, man,
We're missing each other at the moment.
As someone
well.
that I definitely looked up to it when I was, starting my shooting career for sure, and it was definitely a major source of inspiration as well. Just my cable format up there with.
And everyone loves the new one. This new lineup of is it Chris Harris, Flintoff, and Paddy McGuinness? People are loving it.
Yeah, to be fair, it's much better than that mini lineup they had. That kind of.
And it's so real as well. There's like rehearsals and stuff, but a lot of stuff you see, it's just the three of them just doing it, just making it up, and it is funny. And you'll be watching it, and you have to like hold your laughter in because it's so natural.
It's a different show. It's evolved and it's changed, isn't it? Different dynamic altogether. But now I'm a fan of it. Now I've checked out a few episodes of that. I was ready to be like, no, this is not the same as before. But one thing I wanted to check back in on the stunt performer side though, because like a friend of mine, I shan't name any names, but he's one of the guys that works with me. Actually, to shout him out, this is his brand. They're parkour guys, they're free runners and stuff, and that's where they've done a lot of their stuff. And he was actually looking to get on a stunt register, but just got injured too many times on the way through. But he was on the set of Bastille and witnessed something, which was a stunt being, doesn't matter who it was. One of the lead talents was basically tasked with taking someone down, and he just kept doing it. They were like, but you got to hit him harder. You got to keep going. In that situation, have you ever saved anyone's day and been like, it's okay, that's enough kind of situation? Did the stunt performers ever get like, you know what, I'm actually done for today? And everyone like, thank you, Andy.
Nah.
Here's Andy.
But I mean, that's the thing. I've got trust in the coordinators that are running it. And everyone's got trust in the coordinators. They're who they are. You don't get to be a full stunt coordinator without people trusting you to what you do. And the coordinators running it, they will be pushing the guys to do stuff. And the guys, they will take the hits because that's what they're proud and that's what they're being paid to do. But I've got trust in the coordinator because a lot of the stunt coordinators, well, all of them have come from that. They understand taking a hit and all that sort of stuff. So they've kind of had that understanding what they're doing, and they know if that person's getting tired. And sometimes they'll be like, okay, and I've been on sets before where the director said, again, we need it again. And then the coordinator's like, you can't just expect this person to just be totally fit and get up and do it again. You've got to give them a break sort of thing. And but that's where it's just having trust in the team that are doing these things. Because we'll put one thing in the risk assessment about how things are going to happen. And then what actually happens in real world could be different. So you've got to kind of, sometimes I might have a little whisper and say, in a risk assessment, so, we're going to do it this way. We might need to have a little think about this. Or even things like we could be doing something and then we've got cars driving past and everyone's looking over at what we're doing. We'll go, well, we've actually got to stop filming because we're going to cause an accident in a minute because everyone's looking over at our filming that we're doing.
Oh, rubbernecking, looking at you
Yeah, we did a job. Actually, it was with Dell again, ironically. We did a job for Palace Skateboards. Is it Palace? Still the skateboard clothing? It was a job with him on fire. I'm not into skateboard clothing. Come on.
Why not?
I you into it. Sweet. It was a scene with someone on fire, and Dale was on fire. Because he's a full coordinator, he can perform and coordinate at the same time. But before we did that, on the tech wreck, we were on some wasteland in East London. And I was like, we need to go around and do a mail drop to all the houses in the area because someone's going to look out their window and see a dude on fire. So what are we going to do to make sure we don't get sued by someone for PTSD because they thought that someone was being set on fire?
Oh, man.
So there's all of that to consider as well. And that's why I'm normally quite, as a safety advisor role, I'm quite chilled out on set. I say, can't everyone high-vis vests on? If we're filming a bit of wasteland and there's no cars driving around, why have we got to wear a high-vis vest? On that one, I was like, everyone's got to put a high-vis vest on. So if you're some gangland bad boy setting someone on fire, you're not going to be wearing high-vis vests. So I said, let's all put high-vis vests on.
Man.
So anyone
everything about that was like bad.
Yeah. But then it's like obvious that we're a film crew. You know what I mean? It's like obvious that this person who's on fire hasn't just been set on fire by someone. Because then you've got to think about people claiming insurance claims and all that as well. There's so much you have to consider with it all going on. But yeah, that's how it is, isn't it?
That fun enough does actually. I had a little pop quiz lined up for you because I wanted to keep things light. And one of my questions actually was, it's all right, I don't want to take things too seriously. At the end of the day, it's a Wednesday afternoon/evening. I believe it's the warmest day of the year so far as well, which is quite exciting. Nice. And I'm very grateful that you're joining me here in this you're in your office. I'm in this tiny little room. It's getting quite warm, but
I like it.
Well, I'll start with one of those questions off the back of the fire thing. Have you ever let a fire extinguisher off just for fun?
No.
Why not?
God, I didn't go to university, did I? That's what people at university do.
Neither did I.
It's kind of like, yeah, but if you.
But you work with them all the time.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't do it for fun. I've got to pay for them to get recharged, don't I? That's, I mean, 30 quid a time for gas or powder and stuff. God, no.
It's not worth 30 quid.
I've had them go off by accident before in the back of a truck driving down the motorway. One's gone off and suddenly I'm filling with blooming carbon dioxide in the car driving along. So I'm winding down the window and I'm doing this calculation in my head of how long can I breathe for before it runs out in 20 seconds, stuff like that. But no, I'm afraid not. God, maybe I need to do it for fun. Should I do one now?
Have you got one?
I can see two over there, actually.
You got the windows open? It's a bit of a day ruiner. To be fair, I've not done it myself, but I used to work. One of my first jobs was at a go-kart track in Milton Keynes, Daytona. There you go. Great place. They have twin-engine cars do 60 miles an hour down the back straight. At least they do that anyway. A friend of mine is a racing driver now, a lad called Joe Osborne. I come walking down towards the staff room and I just see a plume of smoke. I'm assuming there's a fire or something. Start running towards this, and like 5 of our staff members just walk out of there, and they're all covered in like dust and just white powder. And they just walked out of there, got reprimanded fairly heavily for that, but it was absolutely worth a laugh. So I just wanted to know. Really, it's one of those silly questions, but it's all good fun.
It's an aspiration of mine. There you go. One day I will.
You let us know when it happens, so we can.
I've FaceTime you.
Yeah, exactly. We'll put it on the beginning of the next show. Here's something. So, what's the most impressive thing you've ever seen in your life?
Oh man,
I'm gonna check.
Saw it recently.
If anyone will come through.
Okay, I saw it recently. There's a story. It's nothing to do with film and TV, by the way, but I love fighter jets and planes and bombers and planes, helicopters, all that sort of stuff. I always wanted to see a stealth bomber, always. And every time I worked in the States, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, they're over all the time in Nevada. Yeah, you'll see one." Never seen one. And I'm on this Facebook spotters page for plane spotters at RAF Fairford. And everyone started messaging each other going, something weird's happening. There's some call signs checked in over Iceland, Death 11, Death 12, and Death 13 as call signs. That's a kind of weird call sign. And then another person had an app for air traffic control. And he's
naturally, as you do.
Yeah. We're all plane spotters. But it's like quid, I think it's quid 12 is the KC-135 refueler for the stealth bombers. It's like quid 12 is doing these long loops over the North Atlantic at the moment. And then another person had an app
over the North Atlantic, like just that small area of water.
Yeah. And then this other guy's got app for drones. And he's like, "There's a NOTAMs because you obviously with drones. You know about these NOTAMs, notice to airmen. If you're not allowed to fly a drone in a certain area, it comes up on your phone or it locks out your DJ.
It comes up on the app and it's like you're not allowed to fly here. And then you go, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like there's NOTAMs.
Condoning that behaviour. It's a joke.
Yeah, it wasn't me. He's like, there's NOTAMs for Fairford Airfield at the moment. And it's like, there's stealth bombers going to come into Fairford. So bombed it up to Fairford Airport. Well, Fairford, it's American Air Base, isn't it? About an hour drive. And at the end of the runway, there's a load of other people. And I'm like, you all right? And they're like, yeah. And we all know why we're there. And then the police came along. The police like, why are you here? And we're like, just birds or something.
Just hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah. And then literally on the horizon, we see this and we're like, stealth bomber. And this is the coolest thing. These bombers were designed to be secretive and not visible to radar and all this stuff. Yeah.
I mean, it's in the title.
A load of plane spotters through some apps and a Facebook page guessed
managed to track
what time it was going to come into land. And this stealth bomber came over our heads. Literally, it's on YouTube. Type in RAF Fairford stealth bombers coming in. It is epic. And it is the most
how low are we
phenomenal.
Talking? Like,
buzzed over our heads. Absolutely.
Skimming the edges, yeah.
Yeah. That's up there in the top 10, definitely.
To be fair, I've experienced some low-flying planes around. Where were we? I want to say Salisbury Plain, but that might be making that up. I feel like there's some stuff going around there, but I might be talking out, man.
But I just find what's cooler is the story behind it all is just as cool. The fact that they're supposed to be super secret, and I even tweeted at US Air Force that 511 bomber command.
Of course you did.
Can you let me know when
you are?
Yeah. So I tweeted them. Can you
wave on the way past?
Like, can you let us know what time they're taking off again so I can get some more great pictures, please? At United States Air Force. Like, no replies on Twitter. But, yeah, I tried.
Man, you're now on some sort of watch list, I'm sure.
Well, that's the other thing. We think in this Fairford Facebook plane spotters group, we're like, is there military American people in there that are spotting on us and seeing what we're talking about and stuff? We're just like stealth bombers, called as anything.
Yeah, and now they've all got the phones. Now they know what's going on with you guys every day.
Yeah. Well, the U2, the U2 bomber? No, U2, the surveillance thing. That's there at the moment, taken off every day. That's a plane that doesn't exist apparently, and it's there. You can go to Fairford.
I love that you're just like outing all their secrets. They've tapped into your phone. They know stuff you don't even know about yourself, and then you're just like, yeah, Paul, there's that thing that doesn't even exist. It's just there. It's just for anyone to see if they want to come and check it out. It's just right there.
Difficult to say it's not, but yeah, it's cool. Love it.
Brilliant. I mean, to be fair, we've got a question from a gentleman called John Manning, who I just so happen to know. I feel like
I know John.
We both know John, to be fair.
In fact, I've got to phone John back actually thinking about it. Yeah.
Just to let you know there, John, Andy's going to phone you back. It might not be after this, and if he doesn't, then we can all hold him to account. But I'll get to his question in a second because it actually follows up from one thing I was going to ask you about. And it's potentially a new feature. I'm trialing this format of the podcast. I'm just testing the water on a few things. And I wanted to make this a safe place for people in the industry, such as yourself, people from different stages in their careers and say different positions within the industry that we all hold. Right. It's called Onset Confessions. Okay. So this is an opportunity for you to maybe show a bit of remorse for something that you might or might not have done, just hypothetically. I'm just saying that you might have looked at craft services and gone, someone else's lunch looks better than mine. And just taking it, hypothetically speaking. So I'm just, if there's anything you need to get out there, you ever done anything like that set that you were like, you know what, I just need to admit this, literally clear my chest?
Oh God, that's an interesting one, isn't it? I don't know, because the thing is, I'm like, people can read me like a book. That's the thing. I mean, I've had embarrassing things happen on set. I shit myself on Mission Impossible. That was on the motorway, all over the motorway. It wasn't good. Well, we were filming in Morocco, and obviously our stomachs aren't ready for that. And that was awful. That was like.
Did you eat the salad? Did you eat the salad, or was it ice in the water?
And everyone's like, "Don't eat the salad," and I ate the salad. But then everyone had it. Everyone got ill out there. But you know, you're in Morocco for 6 weeks. It's going to happen. That wasn't one of my greatest moments. That was like, was not great. Yeah.
You need to apologise to anyone that had to witness that. Is that what I'm hearing right now?
Oh well, a friend of mine who, ironically, is I saw the other day a girl called Emily. I know, really, really great. She's an AD on films, and her boyfriend is Taron Egerton, of all people.
Big fan.
And when they were at the awards for, I think it was the Oscars or something recently. No, there was, what was it, about 4 months ago, one of the awards, Golden Globes. She's at the same table with Elton John, which is so cool. But Emily's awesome. She's an AD on set, really top chick. And when that happened, Emily pulled up in a minibus. She's like, "Andy, what are you doing?" I'm like, nothing to see here." She's like, "Why are you behind that motorway barrier?" I'm like, I'm just looking at something. And she's like, "What's all that on the floor?" And then she's like, "Oh my God." And whenever I see her, she's like, "Oh, do you remember that time?" Yes, I remember that time.
So this is an apology, a retrospective apology to Emily.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yes. Yeah, the time when she stumbled across me behind a motorway barrier. But yeah, confessions. Yeah, I don't know really, but embarrassing
keep thinking
things.
about it. Keep thinking about it. John Manning wants to know, what is the best thing you've ever eaten from craft services? You know, we all know that craft services on film sets exist from everything. From a cheese sandwich to a gourmet meal. You know, let's talk about it. Who's got the best? What studio is providing you with the best? You know, the best grub.
Yeah. Everyone says that Bond have, great craft, great catering.
You on the last
Bond do have,
No Time to Die?
Yeah. They do have great catering. There's a catering company from the US called Hat Trick Catering, and there's a chef called Hakeem. I see Hakeem quite a lot on jobs. And
your new mate. Is it good to make friends with the chefs?
Yeah. He's from Atlanta, so like you only see him every 2 years, sort of thing, and always be friends with the chefs. But I remember when we were doing Fast 6, you'd turn up and Hakeem would be like, "Hey Andy, can I make you an omelette?" And he knows exactly how you want your omelette. But we were doing like Fast and Furious, the catering was unbelievable. We had like, how do you want your steak today? And just unbelievable catering.
How many people are on the crew there as well? That's like no small task.
Well, second unit would be like maybe 200 crew on that. And there was you get the old sort of like craft.
Can't see where the money in these big movies goes now, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. We had a massive like trailer unit, a pick and mix trailer. You could go onto and get your pick and mix and get your white mice and your...
Honestly, you're driving me nuts over here because it's one of the things I'm missing right now the most. When I go to the movies, I like the theatre, I love the cinema experience, but for the most part, I get to indulge in my pick and mix, man.
Yeah, but look, how much weight have I lost during lockdown? So much weight. It's great because I'm not at catering.
I love that you're the only one in the country that's lost weight during lockdown.
Yes, because I'm not a craft, you know.
I'm looking at my slightly doughy physique because it gets slightly more rotund, and I'm like, yeah, Mr. Jim.
If you look at a lot of the guys that have been doing it a long time, you'll have like your DOPs that have been that are switched on, know what they're doing. They'll pop into craft. They'll just pick and choose a few little things, a bit of healthy food. Because on a film set, your proper big film sets, there's no excuse for eating crap. There's such good food that you can have. But then the other side of it, when you're doing nights and there's unlimited lattes and there's a bar of chocolate, it's just...
Oh, mate, it's the comfort food that gets you through it sometimes, isn't it, though?
Yeah, but I do love the catering. It's part of it, isn't it? You just get drawn into it. And I think as well, if you're on a job, you're doing a big hours on a job, and you get to your hotel that night, it's just good to just treat yourself and just have that beer, have that food, just as that something for yourself.
Really hungry right now.
I had my pizza turned up about 2 hours ago. I still have that.
Mate, I'm just saying, if you need to have a slice of pizza, no one in the audience is going to mind. You need to have a slice of that pizza. You go ahead.
You know what?
Do it. Do it. I'll wait. It's cool. Got a minor intermission here, ladies and gentlemen. Just waiting for Andy to get back with his pizza. Oh, look at that. And now look at that happy man. Look at how happy he is now. No. Don't shout him out. That's not how this show works. Unless they want to send us free pizza.
Provide for us. Yeah.
If they do. And fair enough. This is a strict show with minor endorsements like these guys. Although I toyed with the idea of doing a giveaway for the audience members. If anyone gets like, I don't know, the best question or something, then we could do like a giveaway. I mean, I totally thought about it with pizza. Can't have a slice, mate. Come on. Get one.
Is that unprofessional?
Don't know. I'm not taking it away from you.
Ham and pineapple.
So I thought about doing this giveaway situation. Someone asked a question, really topical question. We really both enjoy it. Have a laugh maybe. In that situation, give them something. Obviously, we're on CVP. Maybe it's a bit of camera kit. I don't know. I'm just making problems for other people right now. Maybe something small. I don't know what. What would be a nice gift? What do you think you'd appreciate? Obviously, I got your mouthful of pizza. I'll wait till you finish. It's okay. You carry on.
No, I'm finished. I'm good. Wash down the Diet Coke.
I don't do that.
Product
placements.
Is it Austin Powers on there? Was it Austin Powers movie? And he had all the...
They do it in Wayne's World.
Wayne's World. That was it. Wayne's World.
And I've got some Doritos.
Love Wayne's World. A gun rack. That's why gun racks can never be called gun racks. They're called a gun rack.
We have a minor moment in the house every time Foxy Lady by Jimi Hendrix comes on, and we have to do the dance. So that's just how this household works.
Love it.
Yeah, we'll have to think about a giveaway. So CVP, Jake and Joe, I know you're listening. We need to think of some giveaways for our audience here who are happily sitting down listening to us. I mean, that's the thing. You've got to tune in live, though. If you're enjoying the sunshine right now, you're not enduring this with me and Andy here. I'm just going to check back on my little list of questions. I'm sure I've got some more fun stuff. Oh, I got a fun one for you. Can you do a wheelie?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I did 28 miles on my mountain bike on Sunday. Yeah, I was out on that.
Hold on a minute.
Tried to...
I'm hearing I've done a 28 mile wheelie. Okay, how far can you do a wheelie for, huh?
Oh, God. I can't do it when you see people just continuous. I can't do that. I tried to show my...
If it's not continuous?
Well, no, it's just putting the front wheel up, isn't it? I tried to show my 11-yard what an endo was when I had, whilst riding back from the pub 2 years ago. That went massively wrong. Cut across my head, arm, scratched the bike, everything. Yeah.
Literally, the car filming safety guy is your handle, isn't it? And you
it's not ideal.
Endo onto your face.
Yeah, it just went to. He was amazing. He was like in shock. He was like, he thought I died. It was quick, but yeah, maybe I'm not as not the 16-year-old BMXer. Yeah, that I thought I was.
It does make me answer the question as well. Like, with all this going on around you, you've got stunt performers doing fire stuff, doing car stunts, leaping off buildings, jumping through glass, everything in between, motorbike stunts. You know, from your perspective, have you ever been tempted to give something a go?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I was doing some filming the other day. I took the McLaren to some filming the other day, and I was driving that in the shot, doing stuff they wanted it, and I was like, well, I'll drive it. I'm sure to drive it, and I can use it for work purposes and all that. So I'll give that a try. So some of the car stuff I'll do myself. I think because of my back, especially because of the fire service now, when I see fire stunts, people doing them, a lot of them I think was kind of what, you know, we used to kind of do that all the time at fire brigade. We sort of in house fires and shit. It's kind of what we do. But yeah, some things, will I give them a try? I think my appetite for risk is different. I like to kind of manage risk. Yeah, and oversee it all. But I think if I was, I like the role which I have in the industry. I like doing it. I understand it, and I think it's good to leave it to people that are experts in what they do to do it all. But yeah, I see stuff that I wouldn't mind doing and all that. I tell you, I've always wanted to do. You know that thing when you see people that train police dogs and they put the big sort of like padding over their arms and heads and they run along and an Alsatian.
Of all the things.
But it's great because
it's a bodysuit, right?
Yeah. But it's like the dog wants to do it. Yeah, so it's not harmful to the animal because the dog wants to jump on you. And you know, it seems really cool. You run along and this massive Alsatian runs.
I don't know the science behind it. I'm not an animal behaviorist. I know some people will get asked. I don't know the science of it. Do they want to do it?
Yeah.
I think a dog wants to do that. Doesn't want to.
It'd be great doing it. Some massive police Alsatian wrestling you to the ground and stuff in this massive padded suit. It seems cool as anything.
I'm not with you on that one. I'm not liking the idea of that. Like dogs, I'm like, cool, let's just have a nice affectionate relationship. We could just hang out. We can go for walks, something like that. Attacking me, I'm not sure I'm going to encourage that behavior. If I'm personally.
What if you had unlimited budget and the unlimited resources available for you to do the riskiest thing ever? What would you choose?
Man, I think there's so many things. Like so many of them require so much like expertise. So I feel like a healthy amount of that budget and time is going to be just getting to a proficient level that I can actually do it. Because like for me, the thing that like I really enjoy about doing stuff isn't, I guess, what most people would think about these kind of stunts and things. It's like the fear element isn't about, it's not about like, oh, I'm adrenaline fueled kind of thing where you go, oh, I'm doing that because I get a kick from it. It's far from that. It's much more about, right, okay, so let's look at the skateboarding thing right now. I BMX'd as a kid. I did that to some degree and I very much enjoyed it. There's little things that come with that. Like I'm going to drop in, which is literally, you got like a ramp like that. Like, and you just roll over the edge and you just drop in. On a skateboard, that is terrifying because this thing's not attached to you. You're not holding on to handlebars. You just put your foot on it and send it down the ramp. Like, the mental battle with this, seriously, because I'm overcoming a new fear, which is I'm going to throw myself at the concrete. What's that about? That's not a normal thing you do in everyday life. I'm not just going to throw my hands out of the way and just send my face into the floor. So I seem to be getting away from this human instinct or instilled kind of self-preservation that's going, don't do that. So when
that's where as well, you have things, don't you, where you look at it and you think, oh, that looks right. And you actually go to do it and you're like, whoa, that's, you know, we did a thing with KSI, a load of YouTubers in Ibiza years ago. There's some Martin Garrix's music video.
I'm not sure where this story goes.
This is about sort of like when there's things that you see that you want to do that look risky, and they were going to jump off a cliff.
Right.
And we're like, yeah, okay. We had this like free diving person that teaches diving and cliff jumping, all that sort of stuff. And they were in the water, and the director went to call action, and all these. Have you heard of the Sidemen? The YouTubers called the Sidemen. So KSI is the most well-known one of them all. But they're all there, and it's like, and that's something where, and I was like, I wouldn't mind doing that cliff jump. You know, jumping off a cliff. That's pretty cool.
How high?
Probably.
I know the scary numbers.
Top of a roof of a house, sort of high.
What? So what? 5, 6, 7, 8 meters?
Yeah, what's that? 30,
not too
40,
death defying then.
40 feet? Nah, 40 feet.
Scary. Don't get me wrong. You're not catching me on the roof of my house jumping into water. Just throwing that out. I've done some dumb stuff in my time. Definitely jumped off a bridge into water before. That wasn't smart. Not doing that again. But I get it.
Yeah, but it's like, and I knew there was enough water because I'd already gone out on the recce with a set of goggles and snorkel and actually had to look down in the water. And when I went to sort of like to do it, and none of them would jump. And the director's like, "Come on, jump!" And I was thinking in my head, I'd have done that, you know, jumping off a big cliff into the sea. That's like really cool. And then the exec producer looked over me, a guy called Chris, and Chris looked over at me, and I looked at Chris, and we've worked together before, and we knew what each other was thinking. He just went, "Health and safety advisor jumps in the water, anyone can do it." And I was like, and I thought, great, I get to do it. I get to jump off this cliff. And then I thought, oh, actually, hold on a second. So literally just went down to my pants and walked up to the edge of the cliff in front of all the crew and everything. Strutted up, I looked down, and I'm like, whoa.
Different ball game.
Yeah, this is like something that I've actually wanted to do. It looks quite risky. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but then, you saw it from down there. It looks so scary. Yeah. When you're up there looking down.
Exactly. But then I look at Chris and our eyes meet again, and Chris is saying to me, "You better jump because I just told him you will, and if you don't..."
Yeah. I'm going to look like an idiot here.
Yeah. So on that one, so I did end up just jumping off this cliff, doing this cliff jump, which is, you know, not massively dangerous, but it's a cool...
Mate,
cool
honestly, we were researching earlier, and we started looking into these jumps because we looked into the Assassin's Creed one at 125 feet, I believe it was. And then we looked at the sort of like, right, what can go wrong? Because we wanted to pose those questions to you. We were hoping you're going to tell us. But allegedly, if you sort of like, imagine that's a flat thing, look at the pen. If you're doing like that much or that much off when you're landing on an airbag, danger zone. So it's like, you want to be flat, right? When it's water, obviously you can go higher, but the surface tension is still like ridiculously hard. It's something like hitting a brick wall if you're hitting it from like over a certain height. I think I can't remember what it was. I think it was about 180 feet or something like that was around the sort of mark where someone done it. I don't know if there's someone that's done it higher and not survived, but certainly that was like around the record. And it just gets to that point in time where you're like, geez, even at a sort of, you know, even a 10-meter board in a pool, you can hurt yourself if you land wrong. You know, you can still land with, you know, the wrong angle or something and give yourself some whiplash or something, or, you know, dislocate something. I don't know. I'm just, this is your
When
world.
you look at, you ever seen that Red Bull cliff jumping? Red Bull do this big. So when they do that, they have like a load of jets in the water, don't they?
Of course, they
break up the tension.
Yeah.
I think that changes it massively doing that.
That makes perfect sense, because you're disrupting the surface tension, the physics and the dynamics of the water completely change. That makes perfect sense. I mean, as much as I understand hydrodynamics, you know.
Is that what it's called? That's a good word, hydrodynamics.
I just made it up.
Oh, it's not a real word. Oh.
I've been able to Google that now. Just I thought it's like, I pulled it well, didn't I? I've send that out there. Cool. Yeah. Bat an eyelid.
I made up a word this morning. I was speaking to our business development manager this morning about this PDF I sent. I said, "Oh, that one you've got, it won't send because you need to get the Smallinator app." And he was like, "Smallinator?" I said, "Yeah, it's this word that means to make things smaller." We're like, then we started laughing. And we're like, we just made up a word, a Smallinator. It's just this online thing. You put your PDF onto it, into the Smallinator, boom, out it comes.
I'm all for this behavior. Absolutely.
Yeah. We've gone off on a tangent.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I was trying to sort of buy time to think about that stunt. Unlimited time and budget, or is it just unlimited budget?
Unlimited budget, and you've got a team that can make anything happen, whether it's a plane or I don't know, cars or...
I find it hard not to be inspired by
BMX jump.
That's a difficult thing. Like base jumping always appealed to me because it's base jumping, the idea of jumping off something. But I had a conversation with my researcher earlier about it, and I was like, man, like apparently there's this thing like to do with your exposure to essentially fear, that you desensitize yourself, like you start training it. I think he called it something, exposure training, I think it was what it called. Like starting off on a small ledge or something. So say it's base jumping, or we'll talk about the diving again, you know, to scale up from there. You're, you know, on a jumping from 2 feet to ground. Well, then you can go 4 feet to ground, 5 feet, 6 feet. You know, over time, your brain just goes, cool, I survived. Cool, I survived. And then at a certain point in time, that risk is just gone. And there's people that he knows, he's like, well, you know, I could stand on the side of a building and I don't feel like there's that instinct is gone. Like, I'm not going to hold myself back. Like, that's terrifying to get to that point in time. And like, does that happen with base jumpers? I suppose it probably does. Because
I'll tell you who's interesting on that. So Saran Al Fine's greatest explorer of our time.
Absolute hero of mine.
statistically, I think it's 1 in 11 Everest ascents someone dies. 1 in 11. So I think it was on Savannah's 70th birthday. He wanted to do it for the 12th time. It was something like he wanted to beat the ratio or something like that. But when he was, I'm sure it was 70 or something, he did it. He's phenomenal. He did.
He's a
Everest.
superhuman. He is a superhuman.
But he wanted to beat that fear, that statistic of, and the statistic is real. 1 in so many ascents of Everest climbs, you will die. And he wanted to, I'm sure it was Everest, it was K2. It was one of the big mountains. And it was like, he wanted to beat that statistic. And it's like, if you've done it once, it's like when I did 203. It's the fastest speed I've ever done in my car. Did 203 on a runway, did it. And it was like, do you want to do it again? No, never going to do it again because I've done it. I've done the 200. I'm not going to risk it doing it again because if I do it one more time,
I've
doubled the amount. I've doubled it. So I've done it once and I'm happy now. And it's like when we do the top speed stuff as well, if we've got a celebrity that wants to do a top speed attempt or something like that, it's like every time we do it again, we're doubling the risk. So let's just do it the minimum time we need to do to get you competent to get to the speed. Do the big run to get the speed.
To get the shot.
And that's it. And if you want to do it again, I'm afraid tough. And I'll say to the director as well, if we're doing some big car top speed thing, it's like you need to make sure all your cameras there. You've got every shot on that one take because if we have to do it again, you as the director are risking everything just as much because you didn't get the shot the first time.
Yeah, I suppose if you evaluate that point in time, it's still just as much again.
Yeah.
I've been on the other side of that, being the director in that situation. I've been like, right, you guys have got one take. And I'm like, oh man, like you've planned, you've prepped, you've done everything you possibly can to try and figure out all the angles. And it's even like you're rushing around at that point. It's starting to get pretty stressful. You and yourself are calm because you're like, right, I know what I've instructed these people to do, but now they've all got to do their jobs. Not only have they got to roll, they've got to get the camera move correct. We've got to make sure the exposure's on. If there's a light change within that we haven't forecast because we can't rehearse for like an explosion or something that's going to physically change the amount of light that's happening. All these things start to come into the variables. And like, of course, there's that moment when it's all done and dusted and you're just like, and breathe. And it's like, you go and check the footage and you're like, I want to see the camera. Who's got the camera? Show me all of the shots all the time. It's just like, yes, And
if you chuck a drift car into the equation as well, you've got to bear in mind it probably might not work a second time. So it's like, just film everything. Which is one of the things that always happens, isn't it? It's like, just film everything. If we're doing a beat like a car commercial or something like that, or a car drifting or something, we're choreographing a scene for something. It's like, we've only got one car. Just film everything. And time and time again, it's happened where within an hour, the car's broken terminally and there's nothing can be done. It's like, yes, this is why I said film everything because it's how it is.
Drift cars. Situations. We had a Mustang on set, which was amazing to be fair. And it was one of those situations where I was like, I actually felt bad afterwards because we mitigated the risk so much that the shots were like, they were like 90% there. But I just wanted them to be that much more, and we just didn't have the opportunity to get the extra 10% out of it. But the car had it, and we were like, "Damn!" Like all of what you're saying, all that experience that tells you this car isn't going to do this all day. It's not going to do that and the other, but then it does, and then you save the 10% in the tank for when you contingency, and you could have gone hell for leather.
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, that's when things do go wrong, isn't it? When you actually do push it to 100%. So, it's all about what ifs and maybes at the end of the day, but it's a funny situation. Well, mate, I'm going to check back on my little subjects to make sure we haven't missed anything. I'll check my questions as well, see if there aren't any more from anyone.
Okay.
That's all good. We're light on the questions. Everyone's gone outside and enjoying the sunshine. I don't blame them.
Nice.
To be fair, we're covering off everything. I still haven't got back to you on what my stunt was, but I just want to make sure we covered all the bases to make sure everyone's happy because I did some research today. I've been prepared today. Back onto that stunt. Back onto that stunt. I think the base jumping is an interesting one. I definitely want to do that at some point in my life. I don't know how many jumps you need to do, right? It's like it's a whole bunch of like actual skydiving time, and then you have to go and train properly to do. Yeah, there's a lot involved with it.
But base jumping's so like unregulated. When we did that base jumping movie, we were trying to do some stuff in the UK,
Right.
You try and find somewhere in the UK that let you do a base jump.
It was illegal in America for a long time, wasn't it? I mean, it still is, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, just in the UK, it was getting permission, because if
Right.
you've got permission to do something, and we spoke to the CAA about stuff as well and how that would all correlate to it. And in the end, the only place would let us do it was Battersea Power Station, back before it was built into what it is now. You just couldn't jump anywhere. Everywhere was like saying no. And that's then where you get this whole this guerrilla filming where people just go undercover and film stuff. There's some great base jumping videos. Guys have jumped off of they've done like inside the O2 before, haven't they? And they've done
that's a little bit too low for my liking.
Yeah.
I'd want to give, I wouldn't want to go all the way up to like plane height, but I definitely want to be jumping off something pretty high just to make sure, just in case you have a bit of a blackout. You want to throw some bad.
You know what base stands for, don't you?
Go on.
So base stands for bridge antennae, span, or earth. So you got to jump off one of those four things, and that's what it stands for. Yeah. So jumping off a bridge, there's nothing. You're in a void all around you, so there's nothing to hit. So a base jump from a bridge is still going to be dangerous, but it's going to be safer than jumping off of a building where 50% of hitting something is behind you, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You've only got a 180-degree arc in front of you.
It's making perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah, so you can do different things. And then when we did the risk assessment for that, there was even a website that had statistics on base jumping and what is dangerous and different ways of rigging parachutes to different things. And I worked heavily with Dave, the aerial coordinator on that film, to work out how we word the risk assessment on it and how we can get the levels down from high down to manageable. Not so high. It's not exactly low, but you can work
manageable.
But there's
we can still
websites out there saying, but a base. I mean, when I was in the army, I did a couple of like parachute jumps.
We've lost you there, Andy. Hopefully you come back. We're doing so well as well. Hopefully you're still with us, audience members. We'll just wait for Andy to come back with us there.
But yeah,
he's back.
There's no way I could do one off of a building or a bridge or something like that. And also, I don't know how to parachute either, which is obviously the other.
That's what I'm saying. That's what comes back into this conversation where I'm like, right, if you've got a limited budget, what do you do? But I mean, to draw some inspiration from the Fast and Furious movies, there's that one where they let the car out the back of the plane with the parachutes. That to me, definitely in the top 10. I mean, like you see on trying to figure it out though. I'm like, the fear element isn't, it's not necessarily an adrenaline junkie thing. I'd love to do some fast drifting for sure, like some properly fast on a big open track, but that's not, that's not unlimited budget territory at all. That's something that's like completely achievable. If you just really start pushing the boundaries, I don't even know, man. Like stuff like planes and stuff does appeal to me. I was very lucky that a friend of mine is a sound operator, Andy Kirk, let me up in what was it called? Something Cub. Does that make sense? It's a World
Piper
Cub.
Yeah.
He took me up in that plane, took it off, and it's got like, I don't know, 20 horsepower. Didn't feel like it could get off the ground. And it pulls up and we went for a little flight around the surrounding areas. Amazing experience. But he let me take the controls. And like, as soon as that happened, my brain was just like, oh, flying's a thing. I can learn to do that next. Obviously, that didn't get very far because I realized how expensive it was, how much time was actually required. And you actually have to have some kind of brain between your ears to kind of put all the stuff together. But it's definitely something I'd like to tick off in a lifetime as well. But when it comes down to those stunts, I've kind of never really thought about it, but mainly because I've always kind of, if I get a harebrained scheme in my head, I kind of want to follow it through. I tried I kind of tried the idea of going on the skeleton bobsled. You know this one where you're on your chest?
Yeah.
Go down that. I wanted to try that. It turns out there's nowhere in the UK you actually can try that.
There's we did something in St. Moritz.
You did it in Switzerland, right? Yeah.
Yeah, on the Olympic run actually.
There.
We did something with Amy something, the famous Olympic girl.
Oh man, you're killing me here because I should know this.
I can't remember what her name is. Something. And then we did a thing a few years later where we put. Do you ever see when we put a Subaru down the bobsleigh run, down the Olympic run? Yeah, that was pretty nuts. That was Mark Higgins driving that, like a full Subaru rally car, dug out the width on a bobsleigh run, and sent a Subaru down the Olympic bobsleigh run. And that was a cool one because of the safety team thought we all had little sledges with like fire extinguishers and stuff on it. We actually like followed down in sections on little sledges, which you have to keep putting your feet down and slow down. You're on this full on blooming Olympic run, but that it's dangerous stuff. That those
I hear it's dangerous stuff.
Saying about
the crested one you can do, can't you? Is it the crested one you can do?
Is it?
As a person, I think you can do that as an everyday person. You can rock up and try that. So that's definitely on the to-do list as well. But man, I'm going to get back to you on the stunts. I'm going to bring that into the next episode because from my perspective, I got to give that some thought. We've got to get really creative with that one. Like in my head, it's like multiple disciplines. I think Red Bull did it a number of years ago where they did multiple disciplines of flight. They did like one of their stunt planes, like a skydiver. They had Reese Mill on the ground with an Audi doing some stuff. I think the person flew through some hoops or something. I don't know. I need to figure it out. But that's the kind of thing I'm after. Some multidisciplinary thing where all things kind of collide at once.
Yeah.
Monster trucks have to be there. That just came into my brain.
Really?
I really want to drive one of those.
Oh yeah, I'd love to have a go on a monster truck. That's something I'd like to do actually. Yeah. Yeah.
That just came into my brain. Blurted it out. It's like monster trucks. Yes.
Yeah, I remember when I was working on Speedway Grand Prix in Stockholm.
Yeah.
And then there was Monster Jam was coming to Stockholm. And I managed to get some tickets, really like front row, really cool tickets for it. Took the kids out of school. So I'm going to go to Stockholm for a weekend, see Monster Jam live. Put a thing into the school saying kids didn't come to school for having Thursday, Friday off, going to see Monster Jam. Got this thing back. You can't take them off school because it's school time, blah blah.
Oh, no way.
And I just replied with, "Monster trucks are awesome. We're going." And I never heard back from the school either. Monster trucks are awesome. We're going. Responsible dad.
Did they think that your kids had definitely written that and then forged your signature?
Yeah. But they're going to learn more going to see monster trucks in Stockholm.
Mate, you do not have to tell me about life experience and how valuable that is.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely sounds like you're winning Dad of the Year, mate. So, mate,
I try.
we're getting to the end of our time with you today, but I'm very, very grateful we were able to have you on the show. So, all the best with what you're doing right now, mate, and keep up the good work. Good to hear that everything's going splendidly. And obviously, from an industry perspective, it's great to know that things are happening. Things are starting to change, and obviously that the right measures are being put in place with people like yourself so that we can go back to work safely. I know it's it's music to a lot of people's ears at the moment. So very grateful to you putting in the time and effort. And I know that a lot of those are phone calls that you're fielding that are not anything to do with your paid work. It's just stuff you're doing off your own back. So mate, credit to you for that as well.
Yeah, as I say, there's a lot of us involved on it, and it's just nonstop. It's nonstop emails, phone calls, Zoom groups. Then suddenly a new piece of evidence comes out from the government, or this happens, or someone researches the virus does this, and it's like, great, we've got to rethink it again.
But you're on top of it, mate, and you guys are doing what you can, and that's all we can ask. And we're, I'm sure I could speak for everyone in that regard and say we're eternally grateful, mate. So thank you very much for being with us today, giving us your time, especially it's so nice outside. I know you're looking forward to eating a pizza, but thank you everyone else as well at home listening. Those of you that are tuning in live, thank you for sticking with us. And this will be available on hopefully real soon on the audio platforms as well, so we can get it to you guys on iTunes, Spotify, or whatever your chosen podcast platform is. But ultimately, if you like it, guys, stick around, subscribe to the CVP channel. We'll be here every week. We've got a weekly slot now from 4 till 6, mostly live. We might have to do some pre-recorded ones to get some people on the show. But ultimately, guys, thank you very much for listening in. And Andy, again, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, Josh.
Great to chat, mate. And we'll catch up real soon, all right?
Yeah, man. See you soon.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.